Collective, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. I do collective pick a card readings here on YouTube. Just a heads up, my readings do tend to be pretty long, they tend to be deep dives. I am trying to bring in some slightly shorter, more easily bingeable readings. However, every time I say that, it just doesn't happen the way that I plan. You know, this is me. I love to waffle. I love to go on tangents. So my readings are never going to be that short. That being said, please grab a hot or cold beverage of choice, get settled, get cozy, because we have a lot to get through today. Today's reading is titled A Glimpse into Your Future, Who You Are and What Life is Like 1 year from now. Now, I thought the start of January would be a really fun time of year to do something a little bit predictive. This is usually the time where we are setting New Year's resolutions, we're dreaming up those big goals, we're imagining who we want to be, and we're looking ahead at what we hope the future holds. So with that said, I thought, what if we just have a peek? Like, what if we just take a little bit of a nosy and we look at who you might be and what your life might look like 1 year from now, exactly 1 year from now, if you continue on your current trajectory. So think of it as current you spying on future you. So in this reading, we're going to be looking at a mix of tarot and oracle cards to explore the overarching energy around you, where you've been versus where you're moving towards, who you are 1 year from now, what your life looks like on a day-to-day level, and how you feel, what you're focused on, what you're up to generally, and the big themes surrounding your life at that point. We're also going to be looking at what things have changed, what feels very, very different, or what has stayed the same. The intention here is to prepare you and hopefully excite you and maybe even uplift you by showing the progress you could make if you start doing what you want to do right now. Now, a gentle disclaimer here before we go any further, nothing here is ever set in stone. Energies can always change, they can always shift, and you are always in control of your own life. This is simply a look at potential timelines based on the energy you're currently in, your hopes, your dreams, your direction right now. So if something comes through and you think like, well, actually, halfway through the year I might change my mind about that, that is completely okay. You don't have to accept anything as part of your story if you don't want to. And if you start a reading and the future being described feels like something you would never ever want in any timeline, that's usually just a sign that the pile isn't for you. You are always welcome to choose a different one or skip the reading altogether. I also just want to mention at this point, and you guys know this if you watch my readings, but if you're not familiar with my readings, I do give a lot of different tangible examples of how certain energies might manifest. That's not to box you in or to say like this is the only way that this can happen. It's just my way of translating energy into something a little more human and easily understandable. So always take the examples with a grain of salt and focus more on the feeling, the emotion, and the overall vibe. You are always welcome to swap my examples out for ones that make more sense in your current situation. And you can absolutely tell me all about it in the comments. Kind, respectful comments are always, always, always welcome. You can honestly never overshare too much with me. However, bigotry, disrespect, and unkindness will be immediately banished, rebuked, and returned straight back to sender. Just a reminder here, these readings are timeless. You don't have to be listening to this in January 2026. Whenever you find this message is the right time. So in terms of the piles, we have 5 piles to choose from today. Over here, we have pile 1 with the Labradorable Tarot and the Mushroom sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the Lucid Dreams Tarot and the Snail sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Solar Kingdom Tarot and the Tree sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Britt's Third Eye Tarot and the Butterfly sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Teddy Bear Tarot and the Hedgehog sticker. You're welcome to choose more than one pile today if multiple futures are calling to you today. Once you've chosen, please head to the description box or the pinned comment below. Timestamps will be listed there and they will take you straight to your chosen pile. I also just want to say this is my very first reading of 2026, so happy new year everyone. I've been here for 2 years now, which honestly still kind of blows my mind when I think about it. I really didn't think I'd still be doing this, but I love it. I love connecting with you guys. I love hearing about the things that resonate and hearing just what's going on in your lives generally. So thank you genuinely for spending this time with me. If you feel called to support the channel, the best ways to do that are to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe, only if it feels right for you. With that said, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing your energy with me. I'm very excited to see what life looks like for you 1 year from now, collective. So without any further hesitation, let's get started. I'll see you at your chosen pile. Hi Pile 1 Collective, if you chose the Labradorable Tarot and you chose this mushroom sticker and you chose Pile 1, you are absolutely in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled A Glimpse into Your Future, Who You Are and What Life is Like Exactly 1 year from now. If you would like a full breakdown of absolutely everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But in short, this reading is a look at who you are becoming and what your life looks like exactly 1 year from now. And this is based on the energy you're currently in, the direction you're moving towards, the changes unfolding around you, and the themes shaping your future self. As is the case with all predictive readings, nothing is ever set in stone, and you do not have to accept anything as your story if it simply isn't. But without any further hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards and the tarot cards we pulled for you today, Pile 1. I'm just going to pop your little mushroom to one side. So starting over here from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have Emotional Baggage, and the tarot card clarifying emotional baggage is the Four of Cups. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 8, Productivity, Kent Pumpkin. And clarifying that is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. From the Wishcraft Oracle, we have got number 24, Happy Magic for Pets. Animals are my friends. I am kind and loving to them. The same. And clarifying that is the Nine of Wands in reverse. From the Wise Witch Oracle, we have got Herbs. Nature's gifts are abundant. Utilize herbs for healing and magic. And clarifying that, we have got the Page of Wands. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got Freedom. And clarifying freedom, we have got Justice. From the Moonology deck, we have got the End of a Tough Cycle Approaches, Full Moon in Capricorn. And clarifying that, we have got the Nine of Cups. That's really cool. And from the Voices of the Soul Oracle, we have got number 17, Freedom. So we've got freedom coming up twice. And clarifying that this freedom card is the Five of Wands. So freedom is a really huge theme for you, Pile 1. And we're going to talk about that, don't you worry. I just want to make sure that all of these cards are in frame. Before we go any deeper into your reading, I always like to point out the numbers on the cards, just in case any of these are relevant or meaningful to you in any way. They don't need to show up in any particular order for this to be your pile. I just like to mention the numbers because for some people, numbers are very loud little messengers, so they could be relevant if they are in lots of different ways. This could be in terms of a date, an age, a month, a year, a life path, an angel number or synchronicity you're seeing a lot of, an astrological house, or the sign associated with that house. So for you, Pile 1, the numbers coming through are 8, 24, and 17. Some of you could have been born on the 8th, 17th, or 24th of a month. Years like 2008, 2017, or 2024 could be significant for you guys. Some of you might currently be 24 years old. Hopefully you guys are not 8 years old or 17, but one of those ages could have been a really important or formative period in your life. If you want to think about what was going on in your life back then, that could be relevant to this reading. With that number 8, we're very much in Scorpio or 8th house territory, you know, themes around deep emotional transformation, and we have that emotional baggage card, so yeah, you know, endings, rebirths, power dynamics. Some of you could be a life path 8, or you could have strong Scorpio placements. And if we break down the numbers individually, January, February, April, July, or August birthdays could be relevant to you guys. Astrologically speaking, houses like the 1st house, Aries, 2nd house, Taurus, 4th house, Cancer, 7th house, Libra, and of course, 8th house, Scorpio may be activated in your chart. And as always, if you notice something meaningful yourself with these numbers that I don't explicitly mention, you can absolutely still take that as a sign. It doesn't have to be something I've said out loud. Alright, with that in mind, let's start unpacking what this actually means for you, Pile 1, because Pile 1, there is a very clear story here around letting go of emotional weight, coming out of survival mode, that's a big thing, and stepping into a version of yourself that feels lighter, freer, and way more aligned. So like I said, there are huge themes of freedom here. You know, it's coming through twice, so that is very loud. So I feel like the major shift that Spirit wants you to know about, even before we like dive deeper into the cards, like the card by card analysis, 1 year from now, Pile 1, you've liberated yourself from something. And I don't just mean like, oh, you feel a bit better. I mean, you're no longer spending your time in a way that feels like you're imprisoned by something. It feels like you have more say, you have more choice, and just like more space to breathe. Generally is something I'm getting. And I keep hearing the phrase, I get to choose. Like, you're not being held hostage in your own life anymore. This feels like empowerment. It feels like you saying, no, I get input now, I choose. And of course, you know, freedom is a very, very broad concept. It can show up in a million different ways. I am going to try and give some examples just right off the bat before we get into everything a little bit deeper. But this could very well be material or financial freedom, you know, more room with your resources, being able to travel when you want, being able to relocate, you know, choose where you live, choose where you put down roots, you know, even just the freedom to buy yourself nicer things to make your home feel a bit nicer, you know, buy better quality clothing, or, you know, drive a car you actually like. It's that kind of grounded practical freedom of, you know, not just being able to cover your essentials, like cover your bills, but actually have some extra, like a bit more to play around with. This could be, as another example, work freedom. Either you leaving a job you hate, you know, something that feels like a dead end, something that drains you because you've moved on to something better, or you gain more freedom within your current job. Like maybe right now you're in the office every day and it's really exhausting, and by next year you've got more flexibility, like maybe working from home, working remote, managing your own hours, or like some days in office, some days from home, or even, you know, something like if you're on probation at a job right now and it feels like you're being micromanaged at every turn, like the boss is up your ass, always hovering around you, people watching every little thing you do. 1 year from now, it feels like you've got more trust and more autonomy and just more breathing room where you're able to like do things on your own terms and be trusted with that. This could also be emotional or mental freedom, you know, maybe from a draining relationship or friendship, or from a toxic dynamic, or even from a pattern of your own behavior that you're sick of, that you feel like has been trapping you, like something that's taken up all of your thoughts. It's made you feel very stuck. It's made it hard to move forward in a significant way. It's like by next year, that is not consuming you in the same way. You are free from that. So whether that freedom is, you know, leaving a person or breaking a habit or unhooking from a certain mindset, this is you claiming your agency. It's not just, you know, life gets better. It's you actively like freeing yourself from something and taking the control back in your life because you can. You have options and choices now. You're not resigned to one thing. So I want to talk about that emotional baggage card showing up with the Four of Cups. For some of you, this would indicate that life has felt a little bit stagnant lately, or just kind of meh, like samey. We had a reading like this not long ago where I was getting this energy. So if you picked that pile, I'm sorry, I don't remember what pile it was, but if you picked that pile in that reading, it feels like a same kind of thing here. But for some of you, you know in your bones that you're ready for change. Like, you want it, but at the same time, you've also known you had to do some healing first. Like, you did have some stuff to kind of process, some weight to put down. And that can be such an irritating space to be in, you know, that forced pause, that in-between phase, that liminal, because it's like you can feel yourself wanting to come back online, wanting to say yes again, wanting life to just like feel exciting again. But you've been needing that period of pulling back and withdrawing and like protecting yourself, you know, not riding those big highs and lows. So some of you have been genuinely like in this season of, I don't know whether I want to say numbness, either numbness or neutrality, maybe bordering on apathy at times. And maybe you've been dispassionate, and there's a part of it where you've kept things the same, or you've kept things smaller on purpose. Like, you had to kind of break things down and really simplify your life to sort of find your baseline again, is something I want to say. So you've purposely declined things, you've kept yourself more, you've been less engaged with the world, and sometimes you might have been frustrated with yourself for that, but another part of you knew that it was essential. Because the reason this pause has been happening is you are now processing something so that you don't carry it into the future. Because 1 year from now, I see you having fully integrated whatever this is. And I'm not saying it's going to take you a whole year to heal. I'm not saying this is going to take up all of your 2026. I think this is something you're already doing, but it's just by this point next year, you kind of look back at it and you understand why this period had to happen. And I'm actually hearing the phrase necessary evil. This is a necessary evil. And I'm not saying it's evil, like it's really bad, but maybe it's just felt boring. Maybe it's felt kind of dull. Maybe it's felt like nothing is happening. But future you is like, I'm so glad I took that time. Like, I'm so glad that I had that period of kind of nothingness, because it's you actually choosing to face it, I think, is the thing. you're not doing nothing, you're not ignoring it. Choosing the sometimes painful, sometimes less exciting option was because you are prioritizing future you. It's like you could have distracted yourself if you wanted to, and trust me, distractions were probably offered, Palawan, you probably know this, but you chose to do the work instead, and it was necessary work. And just one example I'm getting right now, it does not have to be this one for you, but I'm thinking of healing after a relationship ending. Like some people, when they experience a painful ending, a breakup or something like that, they will take the time to be by themselves, to really strip those layers back, focus on them, who they are as an individual, what they want, and to actually process what happened. And, you know, maybe they choose not to date for a while because they're trying to heal properly, whereas other people jump straight into the dating world again, or they go out partying or hooking up with people. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people, but sometimes it's a way of like numbing or trying to fill a void. It's just a coping mechanism. And I know there's nuance here, because sometimes, you know, after a long relationship ends, somebody might genuinely just want like casual fun, and you know, that's fine. But for some people, it's clearly a way of avoiding something that they're still carrying. And for you, it feels like you've been in that first camp. Again, I'm not saying it's this example, but it might have been tempting in whatever situation you're in to distract yourself. You know, if we use that relationship thing as an example, this could be friends offering to set you up, like when you've just broken up with somebody, like, oh, I'll introduce you to XYZ, oh my god, this person has a crush on you, you know, come and party, come and drink, come and have fun, let's take your mind off it. And a part of you might have been like, honestly, yes, please, I would love not to feel all of this right now. But another part of you has been very firm, like, no, it's not time yet. I don't want to like rush this. I don't want to just get straight back out there and start meeting people. I need to sit with this. And I'm not saying it's wrong to like go out with your friends and have your mind taken off certain things. Sometimes we need that. Like that is part of the healing process too. But I think there's a difference between doing that and then like using it as your only coping mechanism and not actually feeling the feelings. And you know the difference, obviously, like I don't need to tell you that, but it feels like you have been declining things even when it's been tempting. And 1 year from now, you're actually going to be grateful for that, because you've built real habits. You're building real habits in this period. You've actually released certain things instead of just numbing them out or avoiding them. And maybe you even meet someone later who truly aligns, and you look back like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't jump into something when I wasn't ready or when I was vulnerable. And even, you know, if it's not romance specifically, it doesn't have to be. It's that same concept though, like you declining short-term distractions because you've got long-term freedom in mind. So another example could be, you know, not spending money on frivolous stuff even though you want to, because you were like, no, I'm prioritizing future me and their freedom. Or you showing up every day and doing like the boring job or the boring routine because you know it's going to give you that freedom later, and future you is going to thank you for that power. So yeah, you needed to go inward. There's been emotional fatigue, you've been in self-preservation mode, but 1 year from now you're going to see that that period has served a purpose. Now, with productivity and with that Five of Pentacles reverse, this is where we see essentially you coming out of waiting mode. 1 year from now, you are getting stuff done, pal one. I'm seeing that you have a lot more sort of get up and go about you. It feels as though you can get more done in a day, almost like days are longer, because a part of it is like your energy isn't leaking everywhere, or you're not in survival mode and you're spending time on more things that genuinely fulfill you. Your energy is going towards things that matter. Like with the Five of Pentacles reversed, I also get that feeling that there was a time, and maybe this time is now, or maybe this is something you've recently come out of, but there was a time where you were kind of like, oh, what's the point? Or like, I'll never get where I need to be. But next year, it's like you can see the end goal. I don't want to say the end goal because I'm not saying that this is your only goal, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So either you've reached a milestone or you're so close that it finally feels real, and that motivates you, it spurs you on. You really feel like you're getting somewhere. I also see you just saying yes to life again, you know, coming out of isolation into community. And community doesn't have to mean like specifically your local neighborhood, like your community. It can be any kind of community. So, you know, friends, online spaces, classes you're attending, clubs, work colleagues, people who just sort of get you. And again, take the examples with a pinch of salt. I'm going to give a few, but the one example I was getting in my head was like a first-time parent with a newborn baby. Like if you've been on maternity leave or something like that, if you've been inside a lot this past year or dealing with these big emotional shifts, and at the same time, every day has kind of felt the same because, of course, you're prioritizing your baby and being a new parent. It's like by next year, you've got a little bit more freedom again. Like, baby is older, you know, you can see your friends again, you can return to work or to some of your hobbies, and you start to feel more like yourself again. Not even in a super dramatic way, just in a way where you're engaged with life after a long period of feeling like you couldn't be, or you didn't have that freedom or something like that. And that's not me saying that, like, oh, everyone who has babies is trapped. But I know, especially for first-time parents, that shift from, like, if you had a job and were constantly seeing people every single day, and then you're on your own with a baby, that can be really difficult for many people emotionally. Like, the thing of, like, not seeing other adults or interacting with other adults. I know my friends who are parents have talked about, like, the isolation thing a lot. So, yeah, like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just different. But it could also be something like going from unemployment to getting a job that you really love and care about. It could be doing a boring role at work to getting a more exciting one. It could be going from, like, a stuck indoors hermit kind of phase to slowly rejoining life in a very tangible way. It could be healing singlehood, being on your own for a while after a relationship ending, to entering the dating world again and meeting new people. It could be a business that's been stagnant for a while, a project you have suddenly popping off and suddenly you're getting, like, booked and busy, or just a routine that finally works for your nervous system and it feels like you're getting somewhere with this routine. And there's something really, really big here about structure specifically. Yeah, there's a routine that makes you feel good in your body. It really supports you rather than traps you. So you could find during this time as well, this time next year, your finances have significantly improved. Things could just feel easier generally. Some of you might even receive support that makes you feel, I was going to say supported, like, obviously, it makes you feel held, like, it's one less worry off your plate. So something even like government assistance finally coming through, or just more resources being accessible to you and feeling less alone. And the pumpkin symbolism is honestly perfect with that productivity theme. You know, this is all about harvest, abundance, protection, cycles, seeds, opportunity. It's giving, like, you entering your harvest era, but you're also respecting that life is cyclical. Like, there's a season for reflection and there's a season for momentum. And this time next year feels like your season for momentum after a period of maybe that momentum not quite being there. And I love that Happy Magic for Pets card with that card clarified by the 9 of Wands reversed. Animals are really significant in your future, pal one. 1 year from now, animals feel like a really big part of your day-to-day routine. Of course, that could be specifically working with them, learning about them, spending more time with them. But for some of you, I really feel like you're getting a new pet that becomes really important in your life. And for others of you, it could be about things improving with an existing pet. And I say that because with the 9 of Wands, if something has been exhausting in your family life with a pet, like maybe they've had health issues, or they've been through an operation, or there's this ongoing recovery, or maybe, like, even if you've moved house and your pet has been struggling to settle in, or you've got a newer pet and training has been exhausting. I'm thinking of, like, the puppy stage. I remember the puppy stage very, very clearly. It's adorable, but it's also a lot. And, you know, I don't have kids yet, so I don't have a comparison point. But yeah, I remember, like, being exhausted during that time, and the peeing in the house and, like, biting feet with those sharp little teeth, and, you know, just the consistency of training, that routine, and those moments of, like, why are you still not getting it? Those moments can be really tiring. And if you're in that, I just want you to know it won't last forever. Like, by next year, the vibe is your pet is happy, your pet is settled, the routine is really consistent, you know, whether that's you finding the right medication or the training finally clicking, like your pet just finally getting it if they've struggled with that, or just finding the schedule that works best for both you and your pet. I see that being a really, really positive thing this time next year. And if this is a new pet or anything like that, I see you reflecting on how much joy and stability it brings you. Like, you both give each other something. Maybe this pet keeps you consistent, it keeps you accountable. And I actually really resonate with that, because I think having something outside of you to care for can be monumental, especially if you have any kind of, like, health issues generally, especially mental health issues. And I know some people will say, like, oh, if you struggle with whatever health issue, like, maybe, you know, don't get a pet because it's a lot of responsibility. And, you know, I think it depends what works best for the person. But I know for me, having a responsibility, something to care for outside of myself, has helped me, because I will always prioritize them. Like, even when I'm feeling awful, it's having that thing that sort of keeps you consistent. Like, if I don't want to leave the house one day and I'm struggling with my anxiety, maybe I won't do that for me, but I will do that for a pet. I will push past for that pet because I know that it's what they need. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but there could be something to do with that. Like, this pet keeps you accountable. You know, when it's just you, it's easy to say like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. But when it's this cute little creature depending on you, it's like, no, they deserve that walk, they deserve that care, and that can end up teaching you how to show up for yourself too. So for some of you, this is a real soul pet situation, a soul animal. You have a really deep bond with this pet, and it's something that becomes this really genuine anchor in your life. And I see that coming through strongly this time next year. Now, with herbs and with the Page of Wands, I love this because this is your spark return in Power 1. This is really exciting. So 1 year from now, I can see that you've got more vitality, more curiosity, more movement. If you guys have been struggling with any kind of energy limiting condition or anything that's made you feel stuck, I really see that energy returning in some form, enough that you definitely start experimenting with life again. And I'm hearing this phrase, go where you've never been. And that can be something really, really small. Just as a few examples, you could be trying new restaurants, new cuisine, new places that have opened up in your town. You could be trying a new hobby, going to a new class, playing around with your food more as well with herbs, like trying new seasonings, maybe being more intuitive instead of following recipes perfectly. Like, instead of reading the recipe and copying it directly, you just kind of go with the flow and experiment. Also, I'm getting a really, really random message. For some of you, it's like you could have got a gift set for Christmas and it's some fancy seasonings or olive oils, and maybe at first you were like, oh, what are we going to do with this? Like, we don't really make things using this. And by this time next year, it could be that you use that particular oil or seasoning all the time, like you know exactly what to do with it. I know that's really random, but yeah, that's cool. It can also be bigger things. So, you know, traveling somewhere you've always been curious about, or applying for a job just because you're like, yeah, I could do that. Like, why not take a leap? Let's see what happens. There's a real experimental phase here. Again, a lot of curiosity. And I also get the sense that something natural plays a role in bringing your spark back. And obviously, I'm not here to give any kind of medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Always chat with a professional. But energetically, this could look like, you know, medication plus natural support. Like, maybe your doctor puts you on a medication and that is great, but maybe there's like a more natural supplement that also assists with that medication. Of course, if you go on anything like that, always talk to a doctor. But yeah, I'm thinking of like supplements, immune boosting, herbs, something that works with your body rather than against it. And it just helps you feel alive again. And when inspiration hits, it feels like you're moving at this point. You don't just think about it, you do, you take action. So with freedom clarified by justice, this is such a powerful pair in Power 1, because 1 year from now, I'm seeing that you are deeply led by your principles, and it feels really, really freeing is the thing. It doesn't feel strict, it doesn't feel like a cage, it doesn't feel like a box. This is you living in alignment with your own morals and beliefs, and there's this real sense of self-respect that makes it easier to choose yourself. And justice can involve accountability, but this isn't necessarily in a harsh way. It's not in a way where you're kind of punishing yourself. It's more just recognizing cause and effect, and also your own agency. Like, you're not outsourcing responsibility for your life to other people. You are waking up and you're like, this is what I choose. If I want to do this, I do it. And it's easier at this point because underneath it, there's this feeling of worthiness, like you acknowledging, I deserve a good life. I deserve to show up for myself. You're not living in a way that isn't doing you justice. And I'm getting like a fitness example coming through here. Again, it doesn't have to be this example for you. But if you struggled with routines, like fitness routines before, and it feels like you've fallen off the wagon, this isn't you spiraling in shame. It's you looking at that more objectively, I guess, and being like, okay, like this is where we are now. I accept it. Now what do I do next? What can I change? And most importantly, you are fair to yourself. If you have a chronic illness, for instance, your showing up might look different day to day. You know, discipline doesn't have to be self-violence. It can be compassionate. It can be realistic. It can be tailored to your personal circumstances. And there's so much freedom in that. And this is something you're really realizing. So with the end of a tough cycle approaches and with the 9 of Cups, 1 year from now, Power 1, you are going to feel so effing proud of yourself. Like soul deep satisfaction. the kind of contentment that nobody can take away from you. And I feel like this directly connects to that tough cycle closing out. Like it says, you know, some of you could have strong Capricorn placements, Capricorn moon, just strong Cap energy generally, or Saturn energy. But beyond that, it's kind of giving like Saturn has been doing a number on you for a while. And it might honestly be worth looking at what Saturn's been doing in your chart in case that's relevant, because this feels like a chapter where you've been operating on hard mode is something that I want to say. And 1 year from now, you look back like, damn, I did that. Like, I got through that. And it's not in an arrogant way. It's in a very grounded and humble way. Like, I guess I'm stronger than I thought I was, and I can finally see that now. You've proved that to yourself because, you know, when we're in survival mode, we don't always realize how hard we are working just to simply stay alive, you know, just to make it through the day. And then you get to the other side and suddenly the contrast is so obvious. It's like you finally have life on easier mode 1 year from now, and you're like, oh wait, like this is how other people have been living with this much ease, with this much freedom. And then that makes you recognize, like, truly I am one of God's strongest soldiers, because, you know, for a long time it wasn't like this. You were doing everything on this hard mode. And some of you, I'm getting that quote about the frog in the boiling water. I hope you know what I'm on about. I can't remember the full quote, but it's kind of like you were that frog. You didn't realize how hot things were. You didn't realize how bad it had gotten because it happened gradually and you kind of got used to it. And 1 year from now, you look at that and you're like, I wasn't just boiling, I was on fire, but you still got through it. That's what you're going to be appreciating. And the 9 of Cups is that deep contentment. It's the emotional fulfillment. It's the feeling proud of what you've built. And it's not about just wishing for things, it's actually living in the results of your choices, your routines, your progress, the way your days look, how far you've come. It feels really, really satisfying and it feels like it's working. And with that freedom and with the 5 of Wands, I'm getting a lyric. I think it's a song by Junior, but it's a lyric where she's like looking in the mirror, checking out my competition. And I don't know, I feel like that's relevant. I can't remember what the song's called, but yeah, that song could be relevant. It's like 1 year from now, you deeply understand that the only person you are competing with ever is you yesterday. And there's a kind of healthy challenge energy to that here, but it's not in a super obsessive, punishing kind of way. It's not like, oh, I must constantly outdo myself. It's more like, I'm just curious. I just want to explore what I'm capable of. And I feel like you're going to surprise yourself, Power 1, genuinely. Like, some of you won't even believe who you are and what you're planning for in 1 year. It's like the fire is fully back, the agency is back, the urge to do things is back. In a physical way, your body could look very different, but it's more than that. It's also like the mental and emotional resilience that you've cultivated, giving you this kind of like raring to go energy. Like, what else can I do? What else is possible for me? Feels like there's so many possibilities opening, so much freedom now. And that feels like the biggest shift. And I'm getting an example about like charity runs. Like, if, for example, you have never run a single day in your life and you see people doing something like Couch to 5K, you might have been like, you know, I'm all for charity, but why does it always have to be running? Like, that could never be me. I'm so unfit. And then maybe you do actually start running gently at first, but then you find that you actually love it. It helps your mental health, it helps your physical health, and by next year you're signing up for something that would have sounded insane to you right now. I'm also seeing somebody doing one of those inspirational Instagram posts, like somebody saying, you know, this time next year I'd never even ran in my life and look where I am now, like that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be that example, but it could be something where you are like sharing your own experience and you're proud of how far you've come. Like, future you is doing something that present you would have sworn was absolutely impossible. Something you said, no, that's not for me, I couldn't do that, and yet you're doing it. And the message is, like, whatever this is for you, you're gonna surprise yourself in a way that you're really, really gonna love. And I also really feel like part of your freedom comes from accepting that you guys are multi-talented and multi-passionate. This could have been something you've struggled with before. Like, some of you could have beat yourselves up in the past for not committing to just one path, or maybe feeling overwhelmed by too many options and then freezing and picking nothing and procrastinating. But 1 year from now, there's this freedom in realizing, like, you're not supposed to do just one thing. You are allowed to explore, you're allowed to pick things up and then put them back down again. You're allowed to return to them, you're allowed to pivot and then try again later. Maybe you guys are meant to have multiple streams of income, you know, maybe you are meant to flip between interests and hyperfixations. Maybe some of you guys work best in these waves, like these spurts of inspiration, and then these quieter, I guess, more like reflective phases, and that's not a flaw. Like, that's how you're built. And once you stop competing with other people and the way they do things and stop forcing yourself into a box and you kind of accept your rhythm and appreciate that you're like that, that's when your consistency actually becomes really, really sustainable and you are able to cultivate this amazing routine that just really works for you. So yeah, the competition is the mirror, and 1 year from now, you are looking right in that mirror at yourself directly in the eye and you're like, damn, like I am proud of you, I'm proud of this person that I see in the mirror, and you know, what are we capable of doing next? So that's really exciting, pal one. So that is what I'm getting for you, pal one, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here with me, especially as we begin my 3rd year on YouTube. It genuinely means the world that you choose to spend your time with me and let me read for you. I do not take that lightly. With that said, if you enjoyed this reading or if anything resonated, the best ways to support the channel are to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe if you feel called to do so. It helps me so much, and it also helps these readings find the people they're meant for. So even something small, a like, a quick comment, an emoji, whatever you want to leave, it genuinely makes a difference. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and be gentle with yourself as you move through your path. I love you lots. I'm sending you a big hug if you want one, and I'll see you in the next reading. Take care. Bye bye, pal one. Hi Pal2 Collective, if you chose the Lucid Dreams Tarot and you chose the snail sticker and you chose Pal2, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled A Glimpse into Your Future, Who You Are and What Life is Like Exactly 1 year from now. If you would like a full breakdown regarding everything this reading entails, I recommend checking out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I'd recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But in short, this reading looks at who you are becoming and what your life looks like exactly 1 year from now, based on the energy you're currently in, the direction you're moving towards, and the themes shaping your future self. I did the disclaimers in the beginning, but as with any predictive reading, nothing is set in stone. If something doesn't apply for you, you don't have to take it. But without any further hesitation, let's take a look at the oracle cards and tarot cards we pulled for you today, Pal2. So I'm just going to move your little snail to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. We have got the Wild Muse Oracle, and we have got Connect with Nature. And your Lucid Dreams Tarot card, clarifying that, is Strength. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 3, Desire, Lettuce. And clarifying Desire is the 7 of Pentacles reversed. From the Witchcraft Oracle, we have got number 13, Bake Magic Cookies. I can give good things to myself and others. And clarifying that, we have got the 8 of Cups. From the Wise Witch Oracle, we have got Clarity. Light a candle for clarity, illuminate the path to your desires. And clarifying clarity, we have got the Page of Cups. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got Depth. And clarifying depth, we have got Justice. I think we got Justice in Pile 1 as well. From the Moonology Oracle, we have got A Fiery Climax Approaches, Full Moon in Aries. And clarifying that, we have got the 3 of Pentacles. And from the Voices of the Soul Oracle, we have got number 7, Calm. That's a very interesting energy next to the Fiery Climax card. And clarifying Calm, we've got Judgment. Okay, very interesting. Let me just make sure all the cards are in frame. Before we dive deeper, I always like to start these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards when we're using cards with numbers, just in case any of these are meaningful or relevant to you in any way. They certainly don't have to be. These are just little extra nudges or confirmations for specific people. If they are significant, these numbers could relate to a date, an age, a month, a year, a life path, an angel number or synchronicity you keep seeing a lot of, an astrological house, or the sign associated with that house. So for you, Pal2, the numbers coming through are 3, 13, and 7. Some of you could have been born on the 3rd, 7th, or 13th of a month. Years like 2003, 2007, or 2013 could be significant for you guys. Some of you might be 27 or 37 years old, or some of you could be moving through a 7-year or 3-year type of cycle. With the number 3, that speaks to creative, expressive growth energy, communication, self-expression, desire, and creation. 7 brings introspection, calm, spiritual insight, and inner wisdom. And 13 is a big transformation number, endings that lead to rebirth. Astrologically, the 3rd house is associated with Gemini, themes surrounding communication, learning, and curiosity. The 7th house is associated with Libra, you know, relationships, balance, and reflection. And the 1st house is associated with Aries, and that's funny because we got Aries here. So, you know, that's that 1st house energy, but also we got the Aries card. So Aries could be very significant. If any of these numbers mean something specific to you that I don't mention, you can absolutely still take that as a sign. Obviously, I can't cover everything. These are just a few examples. You will know what's relevant in your own life. Okay, pile 2, your energy feels pretty different from pile 1. Pile 1 was very much about like release and then freedom and then momentum. And your pile feels more like awakening and then desire, and then from that, this conscious choice blossoming. And the word desire is really speaking to me. It's actually coming through twice here, I think. Yeah, because we have desire on the Green Witch Oracle, and then we have light a candle for clarity, illuminate the path to your desires on that clarity card. So yeah, one of the biggest themes Spirit wants you to know about is that 1 year from now, you guys are so much clearer about what you actually want. And it's not about what you think you should want. It's not about what you've been conditioned to want, but what your soul genuinely desires. And because of that clarity, pile 2, you're also going to be in a really amazing manifesting energy. Like 1 year from now is when your desires really feel like they are lining up and taking shape in your tangible reality. You know, things that currently feel a little bit vague, or I guess like delayed, if there's been a feeling of like, why is this taking so long, things start becoming real and solid and accessible. And I feel like this time next year you are going to be in a completely different energy in terms of your desires. So yeah, looking at connect with nature, showing up with that strength card, this doesn't have to be physical strength, this could be quiet resilience. But I'm getting that 1 year from now, you are much more grounded in your body and in your nervous system. You guys know how to regulate yourself. You know also like how to slow down without guilt. And there's also something big about you guys drawing strength from simplicity. I feel like nature is going to be a huge, huge part of how you do that, either literally getting outside more or incorporating natural elements into your routines and rituals. Like if you already have a routine that connects you to nature, as just one example, if you make it a sort of unwritten rule that you have to get fresh air for at least 20 minutes when you wake up, or even if you do something like you work with natural elements in your spell work and in your intention setting, this really feels like Spirit saying keep investing in that, like keep doing it, because that is really anchoring you. It's connecting you to your own inner strength and power. And I really feel like it's going to help you a lot 1 year from now. And that's why it's coming through. So you could have certain grounding rituals that are very nature based. Maybe these are things that you are just recently getting into. For some reason, I'm getting something about a grounding mat. I know that's random, but that's coming through. I'm also getting like something about root chakra energy as a focus. So something about the root chakra, the base of the spine. There's something about security, safety, stability, survival, something about how connected you feel to the world. It's like 1 year from now, you're going to be operating from a really solid center. Like you have built internal safety and you have these particular daily things you do to keep yourself grounded and steady. Some of you guys could actually be like starting to lift weights, focusing on strength training or something like that. And the results of your progress are going to be really, really apparent 1 year from now. I'm also getting, obviously this might be for somebody more specific, but I'm getting something about root work and hoodoo as potentially relevant. And just briefly, root work is a folk magic tradition, especially within African American spiritual practices. And it works with things like herbs, roots, oils, candles, prayer, ancestors, that kind of earth-based spiritual technology. So for some of you, there could be an interest in ancestral magic, that lineage of working with the earth and spirit. I know that's not for everyone, but it's just a ping for somebody here. I'm also thinking of just anything found in nature could be really, really significant for you guys. Plant medicine, that's coming through. Natural fibers, there's also something about simplifying your routine, so maybe more natural products in terms of hair care, skincare, makeup. Like 1 year from now, maybe you're wearing your hair more naturally, or you're wearing more natural fibers using these simple products, and it makes you feel more like you. It makes you feel more connected and grounded. There's something really strong coming through about sunshine and fresh air on your face specifically. Maybe getting outside just becomes this non-negotiable for you. Something about a nature trail or a regular walk that you do. There's maybe a place you go to that's near water, a lake, a pond, a river, somewhere you sit and meditate, that's going to be important, or just somewhere you can exist quietly, like just enjoy your time, just you and nature. I'm also getting, like, when I said plant medicine, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but I'm also thinking of edibles and stuff like that. And I say I don't know how much I'm allowed to say because in the UK, things like that are still very much restricted and criminalised. And I know it's different in other countries and I guess more progressive states, like in the US. And I know for some people, you know, stuff like that isn't helpful. For some people who have like smoked or taken edibles in the past, I know it can induce more anxiety or make you more paranoid. So I'm not encouraging or advocating for anything, like if that kind of thing doesn't work for you. I'm just saying if it does, there's some kind of like natural earth remedy, like something that helps support pain, your sleep, your nervous system, your anxiety. But for others of you, it could be that it's like the opposite. Like, so I'm not saying this time next year you'll be doing edibles all the time if that's not for you. It could be like maybe you do smoke and you want to quit or something because you realize it isn't working for you. It's different things, you know, different bodies, different systems. We all require different things. So that's just a message for somebody, but it's like some form of medicinal thing that really helps you. And 1 year from now, that's going to be really, really important. I feel like there's something about you being able to self-soothe more easily next year. It's like if an emotion rises and it's heavy, you guys are in this position where you can sit with it and you can let it flow through you. You can let it pass, but it's without judgment. And because you're not suppressing it, you actually bounce back a lot faster. I'm seeing you breathe in more sighs of relief next year. You're not getting as stressed. It's like you're staying very much rooted in who you are. You're a lot more chill is something I'm getting. You know, if irritation or agitation has been an issue for you guys, if you found yourself snapping at small things or getting riled easily, 1 year from now, you're less reactive. And I'm getting this phrase, and it's funny that I mentioned edibles because I'm picturing, like, I'm not saying this is your energy, but I'm picturing like a stereotypical stoner character in a film. You have this kind of vibe where you're like, whatever, man, like, whatever. Yeah, like, it's that energy of someone who doesn't sweat the small stuff because they can see the bigger picture. Everything is a little more interesting, a little bit more spacious. You don't have to sweat the small stuff is something I'm getting. And again, this isn't something that has to come from substances or edibles or anything like that, from smoking. It doesn't have to be that, and it probably isn't for many of you. It's just you having this attitude of like, you know, I'm not wasting my energy on what doesn't matter. I have bigger things to focus on. I'm going to protect my peace. So whatever, man, like, you do you. Sort of that vibe of like, I see the world for what it is, or I know the truth, like, and you're kind of like peace and love with everyone else. With the Seven of Pentacles reversed showing up with desire, it feels like you've spent a really long time being patient, pal, too. Investing your energy in something, tending to something, waiting for something to pay off. And 1 year from now, you're so much clearer about what's actually worth your time. And within that clarity, it's as though the universe rewards you. Because 1 year from now, a big desire of yours has come in and it's something you've been waiting for a really, really long time. And yeah, you know, you picked the snail sticker as well, so we already know something here had to take its sweet time, okay? And it has done. It's like you kept planting seeds and going back to the garden to water the seeds, but it seemed as though for a long time nothing was growing, right? So you kept checking on it and you were asking like, when will it happen? And sometimes it felt that that cycle would never end, like tending to seeds that never sprout. It was exhausting. But I'm seeing 1 year from now, it's as though you're giving the universe a clear message through your intention and your action. You're saying, this is what I want, and there's no room for confusion. And because your actions align, things start aligning more effortlessly too. It doesn't feel as though you have to coax it and force it as much. There's more natural movement. I'm getting this phrase that I've heard other creators say when they talk about like manifesting and spell work and intentions. And when they practice magic, and it's that magic takes the path of least resistance. So sometimes you have to get really clear and really precise and really specific about your desires in order for your manifestations to come through for you. And it feels like 1 year now, that has fully, what's the word, solidified? No, not solidified. That's fully, sorry, I have major brain fog. It's sunk in your brain. Instead of like 1 step forward, 5 steps back, if that's felt how things have been, it starts looking more like 5 steps forward, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward again, 2 steps back, but 10 steps forward. You know what I mean? Like, life can still be life, it can still be challenging, but overall, there is forward momentum, progress that is actually sticking. So one example that I'm getting, it doesn't have to be this one for you, it's just to put it in a tangible context. But if you're a content creator, let's say, maybe you've been working really hard and really consistently, showing up every day, putting content out, and every upload it feels like you lose views or you lose subs or it's just been impossible to grow. But 1 year from now, the videos you're uploading right now are taking off, like they're doing really well, they are pulling numbers, they're bringing in money or subs from existing work. It just becomes easier to maintain and grow rather than like grinding non-stop just to feel like you're slipping backwards, if that makes sense. Or another random example, you know, if this is in relation to fitness or a diet or something like that, if you've ever had to train whilst in a calorie deficit, you will know it can be frustrating at first. You know, you're hungry, you're really hungry, like your body is adapting and progress feels really slow, and the scale sometimes plays annoying games. It's like you lose a pound and then you gain 2. And, you know, especially if you're a woman, hormones absolutely do not help. TMI, but I swear before my period, it genuinely feels like I gain about 10 pounds in water weight alone. Like clothes that were baggy on me a week prior suddenly feel really tight. And then once I'm off my period, the clothes feel baggy again, and I haven't changed anything. But at the time when you're going through that, it really feels like you were going backwards, even when you're doing everything right. But 1 year from now, things are going to be easier. So let's say if you've built muscle, if you built consistency and you built a solid rhythm, it gets easier to maintain what you want because your body recomp changes things. You know, those non-scale victories show up, your clothes fit differently, the progress becomes more sustainable. And especially like if you're putting on muscle or something, maybe you can eat more because the muscle naturally burns more. So it becomes less hard to maintain the goals you want. It doesn't have to be those examples, but it's like the main energy here is you end up with something you once prayed for, you felt really desperate for, you thought you would never get. And 1 year from now, it's just part of your life and it's a lot easier to sustain it. With Bake Magic Cookies showing up with the 8 of Cups, this is a really powerful walking away energy, and it feels like 1 year from now, you're going to be in this energy where you're fully like, I have learned how to give to myself now. So 1 year from now, you have walked away from something that was holding you back. And the specific of what this thing is doesn't necessarily matter. It can be a person, it can be a job, it can be a habit, it can be a belief. But the point is, you have done it because you chose emotional nourishment. You will be choosing emotional nourishment, should I say, because this is the future. I get confused when I do these predictive readings, but it's like, you start seeking a deeper truth. And I'm getting a very specific metaphor about a cookie coming up right now because it is Bake Magic Cookies. But yeah, I'm thinking of how like people refer to desserts or sweet treats as guilty pleasures. And I don't love that. I don't love moralizing food because I think that language has power. And I know some people find it like mentally helpful for their structure. And if it works for you, like that's fine. If you think it's not that deep, that's fine. But for a lot of people, I think it turns the cookie or the dessert or whatever it is into this secret, clandestine thing. And sometimes you crave it more because it's restricted, because it feels like something you shouldn't have. It becomes louder, you know, the food noise, it becomes really all-consuming. And then maybe cycles of binging happen, and then there's the guilt, and then there's the repeat in that cycle. But the thing is, the cookie wasn't the problem. Like, the key message here is, this isn't just about the food or whatever. The cookie can represent anything that brings both pleasure and pain. You know, anything you feel you shouldn't enjoy, anything you do in secret, anything that's been injected with this sense of shame instead of magic. So this feels like walking away from something toxic so you can bring the magic back. It's not saying I'll never have a cookie again, because that is the point here. Like, cookies aren't inherently bad. It's the belief surrounding them that, you know, makes it this forbidden fruit. Well, not fruit, forbidden dessert. But yeah, this is more like cookies are going to be on your terms, and it's going to be in balance and without shame. And, you know, another example of this could be something like physical intimacy with someone you know isn't good for you. You know, physical intimacy in and of itself isn't bad. Pleasure isn't bad, but if it's with a person who drains you or diminishes you, it loses the magic. So 1 year from now, you're saying, I bring the magic back to my body, but on my terms. Or it could be a job even. You know, working isn't bad, having a career isn't bad, but a toxic job kills the magic. It kills our soul and it kills our spirit. So maybe this is you walking away to make room for a career that actually nourishes you and gives back to you. But the point here is, like, 1 year from now, you are enjoying the cookies again, metaphorically, literally, whatever, but it's in a sustainable way, because the magic is back in those cookies. You're putting a bit of magic into everything. You're infusing your life with your own signature flavour. And I'm also getting this really strong message about romanticising the mundane, like enjoying the little things, you know, that first sip of coffee in the morning, soft lighting, making these rituals out of a very ordinary day, choosing to use like the cute plates or the cute glasses, or putting on your favourite songs while you cook. There's just something about making life feel really, really special again. It's like you're going to be appreciating the little things 1 year from now, pal too. I want to talk about this depth showing up with justice for just a moment, and I realise we still have to talk about clarity in the Page of Cups, and I will do, that's coming. But I want to mention this first because I feel like it leads onto this clarity and Page of Cups. But yeah, like, this feels like emotional maturity and responsibility without shame. But I'm also getting this very, very specific message about a missing piece. Like, essentially there's been a part of the story that has been missing for you, something that hasn't made sense fully. And 1 year from now, it's as though you see what that thing was, because you go deeper, you get to the root. We spoke about root work, and this is you like getting to the root, and that missing piece becomes the key that unlocks this long-term and consistent change. So this could be in relation to one of your own habits. And I'm sorry I keep using food and diet and things like that as an example. It's just the one that keeps coming through to me. I think it's quite universal, but this can apply to anything. This is making me think of when people really oversimplify things like weight loss into, oh, it's just calories in versus calories out. And sure, yeah, technically, like, we're not changing the laws of thermodynamics here, but that simplification ignores hormones, emotions, trauma, nervous system, coping mechanisms, fluctuations. It ignores the reality of being human. And when people can't stick to a regime, then they will start self-flagellating. They'll say like, oh, it's just calories in, calories out. If it's so simple, why can't I do it? I must be weak, I must be lazy, I must have no willpower. And that is so far from the truth. The missing piece is, for example, in that scenario, going deeper into why the behaviour exists, how a behaviour protected you, what wound it soothed, why it became comforting in the first place. And when you understand that, you can be compassionate, but you can also actually create change because you're working with yourself, not against yourself. And for some of you, it feels like depth is going to show up this time next year in terms of your relationships and interests. It feels like you're going to be having a lot of like deeper conversations with people. There's going to be more authenticity and honesty, less surface level chat, less small talk. This could be you deepening your hobbies, you researching something intensely. This could be you getting lost in your passions. There's definitely that strong 8th house thing here, you know, spirituality, shadow work, get into the nitty gritty of everything. There's also something about closure coming up, you know, realizing that even if things were left unsaid, you are allowed to move on. It's also accepting that you might not necessarily get the closure you deserve, but also realizing that even though that wasn't fair, it's not something that gets to hold you hostage forever. This really feels like a time of no more shallow connections. There's going to be a lot more meaning in your friendships, in your relationships. This isn't just like, oh, I'll just hang out with this person and talk to them for the sake of having someone to hang out with. This feels like very intentional. You know, when I make a friend, it is deliberate and I invest in it and I want it to last. You know, only accepting things that have that depth and meaning and that you really want to last. This isn't a sort of flighty phase of your life. But yeah, with clarity and with the Page of Cups, this is your inner child coming forward, pal too, and it's really, really beautiful. 1 year from now, it feels as though you're going to be very emotionally open and curious and explorative, and you're allowing for that gentle inspiration to take place. You're also allowing for more tenderness with yourself. And again, that clarity, it feels like what we were saying with depth and justice. It feels like it has something to do with you identifying where emotions come from and that really helping you connect with yourself and learn to self-soothe. You know, instead of sort of like toxic positivitying your way out of your feelings, instead of saying to yourself, you know, don't cry, don't be angry, you shouldn't feel that way, you should be grateful. You stop berating yourself. Like when an emotion comes up, you process it, you sit with it and you understand it without shame. And I'm getting this really random example here, but it's like sometimes, you know, we can get into petty arguments with people and it blows out of proportion, but then later we think, oh, it wasn't just about that one petty thing, it was actually blah, blah, blah. I'm getting this random example about like you and your partner arguing because your partner criticizes the way you load the dishwasher and you spiral into this really bad mood and it feels like a disproportionate reaction. Like suddenly you're crying over the damn dishwasher. But it's not about the dishwasher, that's the thing. It's about the deeper thing that's being triggered here. You know, maybe if your partner criticizes how you load it without realizing that hits on this childhood wound of being overly criticized or something like that. And then suddenly you feel shame and you feel rejection and you feel judgment. And then you're like, oh, but why did I just fly off the handle about the fucking dishwasher? Like, why am I overreacting? But it's because the child version of you got activated in that moment. And it's like 1 year from now, you understand that more. And it's like you intercept your own thoughts and you respond rather than just immediately reacting. Like you respond in a way that's measured, and that's honoring your inner child, because you can kind of catch yourself when those moments happen when you might have like an overreaction and you're like, oh, I know why this is happening, like I see it. This could also show up as 1 year from now you rediscovering a childhood passion, maybe picking something back up that you used to love, essentially doing something your inner child would be really, really proud of. You doing something that's really fulfilling and engaging and it feels very meaningful. Okay, yeah, with the full moon in Aries and with the Three of Pentacles, this is the turning point where 1 year from now, a lot of things are going your way. You might be pleased to know, because Aries energy can be like fight mode, right? And I feel like prior to this, you've been feeling like you have to fight for every damn thing. Like nothing comes easy, pal two. Everything feels like a battle. Everything has been met with this frustration, like you're clawing your way out of an endless pit. And some of you have been in that energy this past year, and some of you are still in it now. But this card literally says that that climax is approaching. Something has to break open here. And once it does, it's like the flow changes. You know, 1 year from now, life just feels easier. Life feels less burdensome. You're going to be genuinely surprised by like how readily the universe says yes to you, because for a long time it's felt as though you've had to like negotiate for a tiny scrap of your desires. I'm getting brace for impact, the phrase brace for impact, like you've had to beg for the bare minimum for a long time. Almost like you've had to pray and plead with the universe for the slightest thing. So for example, you are up at 3 a.m. crying and you're like, hey universe, like I know you're busy and everything, but my house just burned down twice this last year and I lost my job and both of my grandparents have died, so can this year maybe be like a bit less awful, please? Like maybe no house burning down, maybe keep my job, grandparents stay alive. And the universe is like, best I can do is house burns down once and one more dead grandparent. You're like, what the fuck? I didn't even think I had any more grandparents. It's like arguing with the receptionist at the doctor's office, like, can I please get this appointment that I really need next week? And they're like, best I can do is like March 2030. But this is the point, like next year is not like that. You do your spell work, you do your candle work, you do your little petition, and you're like, hey universe, you know, could you help me with my finances? I could do with an extra £100. And the universe is like, oh, you want 100? That's fine, have 1,000. It's not the same negotiating, you know, the opportunities just show up. People say yes, people choose you, people recognize you. You don't have to fight so hard. And the Three of Pentacles is a huge part of that. It's support, it's collaboration, and it's being seen. For some reason, I wanted to say this time next year, you have a lot of yes men around you. But when I say yes men, I don't mean it in like the toxic way where like a celebrity can get away with doing whatever they want because the people around them are too scared to be honest. It's not in that way. I mean it more like you just feel supported, you feel backed, you feel like you don't have to work as hard to convince people. Even when it comes to conflict and having boundaries, if you used to feel like asking for something would always lead to a disagreement or to an argument or to conflict, and you were always bracing yourself for somebody saying no or disagreeing or fighting with you, next year it's like you ask for things and the other person is like, yeah, okay, that's fine, like shrug. Easy, you know, not a problem. You could be working next year with a really, really dynamic team, a team who really have your back and they see your vision is important. Like if you're creating content, it could be people wanting to collaborate with you, people wanting to offer help, people just align with you naturally. It feels like people truly want you to succeed. They're saying yes to you and the universe is saying yes to you. Like the universe wants you to succeed too. And with calm and with judgment, this is the outcome I really, really love for you guys, because there's some kind of decision that you're making next year, and it's like after the decision comes the peace. You know, calm with judgment, it's like answering a call and then just finally feeling at ease with who you are. You know, it's your nervous system being able to exhale. You stop questioning yourself the way you used to. It's you being in this energy where you're realizing that there is a bigger purpose. You know, like what we said at the beginning, you don't get caught up in petty bullshit because you realize that the universe is so vast and you've got so much you want to do. There's so much meaning to be found in the world. So there's no point in sweating the small stuff because you can see what actually matters. And it shows up in terms of your lifestyle, your values, your beliefs, your career path, your relationships. The way you show up, it all has depth. It all means something. Daily life feels a lot more profound 1 year from now because you're living with more intention. You feel safe where you are and you feel protected and you feel very, very aligned. And there's also this vibe of mastery, like you've mastered something. And by next year, it seems like you're ready to move on to something even bigger, but it's not in an anxious way. It's just like calmly and intuitively. It's this sense of, you know, this is my path and I feel good about this. It makes sense and I'm ready. Like I'm really, really ready for the next chapter. And that is such a gorgeous place to be, Pal 2. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 2, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so, so much for being here with me, especially as we're stepping into my 3rd year on YouTube. I genuinely appreciate you spending your time with me, letting me read for you, and just being part of this little corner of the internet. If you enjoyed this reading, or if anything resonated, the best ways to support the channel are to like, comment, hype, share, and sub if you feel called to do so. It helps me so much, it is always so appreciated, and it just helps these readings find the people they're meant for. Even something small, like a quick little comment, an emoji, it makes a way bigger difference than you think. So as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I love you lots, and I will see you in the next reading. Take care, Pal 2. Bye! Hi Pal 3, if you chose the Solar Kingdom Tarot and you chose the tree sticker and you chose Pal 3, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled A Glimpse into Your Future, who you are and what life is like exactly 1 year from now. If you would like a full breakdown of everything this reading entails, I recommend checking out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But in short, this reading is going to be looking at who you are becoming and what your life looks like exactly 1 year from now, based on the current energy that you're in, the direction you're moving towards, and the themes shaping your future self. As with all predictive messages, nothing has to be set in stone. If something doesn't resonate, you don't have to take it. It doesn't have to be your story. With that being said, and without any further hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards and tarot cards we pulled for you today at Pal 3. I'm just going to move your little tree to one side so we can focus on the cards. Starting over here on the left with the Wild Muse Oracle, we have the Best of You. And from the Solar Kingdom Tarot, clarifying that is the King of Swords reversed. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 38, Hope Daffodil. And clarifying Hope is the Six of Wands reversed. From the Witchcraft Oracle, we have number 7, Hope Jar. I am full of hope and I take action. And clarifying Hope Jar is the King of Wands. From the Wise Witch Oracle, we have got Alignment. Align your energy. Crystals can heal and amplify your intentions. Some of you maybe just bought some new crystals. Clarifying Alignment is Last Quarter Moon. I think that is exclusive to this deck, which is exciting. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got Contentment. And clarifying Contentment, we've got the Fool. I love that. From the Moonology Oracle, we have got What Do You Need to Release? Waning Moon. And clarifying that is the Four of Wands. From the Voices of the Soul Oracle, we have got Message of Forgiveness, number 40. And clarifying that, we have got the Setting Sun, which is another card exclusive to this deck, I believe. I think it is. Yeah, because I think these cards are like extra. You get some extra cards with this deck, so that is really, really cool. Definitely some one-of-a-kind energy right off the bat, Pal 3. Is everything in frame? Think so. Okay, so before we dive deeper, I always like to start these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards when we are using cards with numbers, just in case any of these are meaningful or relevant to you in any way. They certainly don't have to be in order for this to be your pile. I just like to mention these numbers because they can show up as significant dates, ages, years, life paths, angel numbers or synchronicities you're seeing a lot of, or even astrological houses. And these are just extra little nudges for specific people who need them. So for you, pile 3, the numbers coming through are 7. There's also the number 38 and the number 40. Some of you could have been born on the 3rd, 7th, 8th or 4th of a month. Years like 2003, 2007, 2008, 2018 or 2020 could be really significant for you guys. Some of you could currently be 38 or 40 or approaching an age that feels like a very meaningful milestone. The number 3 carries themes of growth, creativity and expression. 8 brings strength, endurance and long-term building. 4 is all about stability, home and foundations. 0 amplifies spiritual cycles. It's about endings and beginnings, about completion. There's also a really strong sense of like closing one chapter and stepping into another in a really conscious way, not in an abrupt way. Okay, so as always, if a number stands out to you in any way and I haven't mentioned it, you can absolutely still take it as confirmation. Obviously, I can't go through every single way these numbers could apply, but you will know what's relevant in your own life and you are very welcome to use it and to take it as an extra little nudge. But yeah, pile 3. This pile feels kind of soft, but definitely not in a weak way. There's absolutely like a quiet growth. There's a rootedness to this. There's this energy of sort of becoming yourself again without needing applause is something really, really strong that I'm getting. And honestly, I want to say that it feels like integration. Like you're not becoming someone brand new, but you are becoming more fully you. And that comes across as brand new and it might make you feel like you're someone brand new. But yeah, I really want to start this by pointing out that we've got 2 hope messages. I didn't even realize that. When I was pulling the cards, but we've got 2 hope messages. So the future is exciting, okay? There's a lot to be hopeful about, pile 3, because 1 year from now, I see you guys being so hopeful about life, but it is in a grounded way. It's not like delusional positivity. It's not everything is perfect, nothing could ever go wrong in my life, but it's more like, you know, just a first day of spring sort of energy, like a really fresh perspective. You are embodying that this time next year. And when the best of you came out, my immediate gut reaction was like, okay, this is major glow up energy. And I know when people think glow up, again, there is that sense of like, I'm a brand new person, like I'm fresh, I'm brand new, I look, talk, walk, carry myself like a new person. And yes, there is an element of that, but what I'm getting more strongly for you guys specifically is like this potential for a glow up has been inside you all along. It's always been there. But it's like this time, I keep hearing this phrase, you are giving life the very best of you. Like you are no longer giving life scraps. You're no longer giving life the exhausted or shut down or overthinking version of you. Life gets to see the very best of you again because you finally get to see it too. And I want to talk more about that because with that King of Swords reversed, I feel like a big part of this glow up is you respectfully telling your harsh inner critic to shut the fuck up. Truly, because some of you have had this super loud internal monologue, right? Like this monologue who's always interrupting, talking over your own brain. It feels like you can't get a bloody word in, and anytime you try and tell yourself something good, that inner critic will pipe up with 1,000 reasons why your idea is bad or it won't work. You know, this hypercritical language, picking you apart, questioning your intelligence, your decisions, your clarity. Like your mental narrative hasn't been aligned with your actual truth. And I'm not gonna lie, I relate to this a hell of a lot. Like my inner critic has been so loud in the past too. And even when it came to doing this, like doing YouTube, putting myself out there, it really made me cringe. Like because my inner critic berated me, screamed at me, gave me 1,000 reasons not to do it. And here's the thing, like it's easy to look at that inner critic and be like, oh, he's an asshole. Like I hate that guy. I'm only saying he because it's the King of Swords. This isn't a gender thing. Your inner critic doesn't have to be a man, but it's unsurprising if it is because your inner critic is loud and wrong. But yeah, like I feel that, you know, it's that feeling of, yeah, he does need to quieten down. But often, you know, that inner critic came from a need to protect you. Like it's ego armor. It is self-sabotage, not because it's evil, but because it is trying to keep you safe in its own weird way, because control means safety. So it tries to keep you in control. It doesn't want you to be vulnerable. It waits for the other shoe to drop. It doesn't want you to believe that good things can last. So as one example, even if in like relationships, let's say if things are going well and you always have that little voice that's like, you know, you can't be this happy forever, right? And then suddenly you pull away from that person who makes you feel so happy. And then the voice tells you, like, see, that was the right decision. You know, we didn't deserve them anyway. It looks cruel on the surface, but underneath it is fear. And what I see 1 year from now is you outgrowing the need for that coping mechanism, if that ever was a thing for you. You can respect that it existed for a reason, but you replace it with something way more hopeful. You stop using hyper-control and cynicism as a form of safety. And for some of you, it might not be like an inner critic. This could be an external King of Swords reversed figure who you are just like not listening to anymore. You take them with a grain of salt. You're like, their reality doesn't have to mean my truth. But yeah, for a lot of you, it could be an inner critic thing. And I say that because, you know, like I said, I relate to that. And in some weird way, my inner critic has helped me. It's held me back, but it's also helped me. And I've talked about this before. But it's this thing where, like, I have been so harsh on myself that the outside world can't possibly be as harsh as I have been to myself. So with that said, you know, things like negative comments don't hit like I expected them to, because nobody is ever crueler to me than my own mind. Like, nobody can say worse to me than what I can say to myself. But, you know, that doesn't mean that my inner critic deserves to run the show forever. It means it served a purpose, and now we're done with that. And I'm feeling that same thing for you, Pal 3. Not that exact example, but if you've ever had thoughts of like, you know, I'll never be able to do XYZ, why should I try? I'm not capable, or it's going to end badly. 1 year from now, you're saying like, is that the best we can do? I don't think it is. I think we can give life a little bit more. I think we can give life the best, because you're giving yourself the best. You're giving life the best. You are appreciating your traits, your value, your strengths. You're going to be treating yourself more, feeling more comfortable in your skin, giving yourself more compliments, dedicating more time to you, investing in yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually. You are going to be affirming things like, actually, do you know what? I'm a really cool person. Like, actually, I'm hella smart. I'm hella funny. I think we said this in a recent reading, but it's like those moments where you kind of laugh at your own joke. And it's not in an arrogant way. It's just honesty. It's like, oh, actually, I'm pretty funny. And acknowledging that for maybe the first time, you're going to be doing that a lot more. If you guys have ever struggled with like an excessive need to control either yourself or other people, it feels like that loosens. If you struggled with irrational beliefs that you are not good enough, that softens here. You are a lot more gentle with yourself. You are finding life more fulfilling, and it becomes obvious you are stepping into the best version of you because people start commenting on it. People are complimenting you during this time. You know, they're saying that you're glowing, that you look radiant, you look like you're finally filling your own cup up, and that's important. So I feel like there's going to be more self-care during these times. I'm getting something about ritual baths. There's going to be like more meditation, more getting up and doing the thing even if you're not perfect at it, and less beating yourself up when things go wrong because you know that there's always room to grow. And the example I'm getting, like, because some of you could be so used to like beating yourself up over the slightest thing that other people don't even think about, and I know I've struggled with this before, so I'm not judging. This is why I'm using it as an example. But sometimes like I can be like quite awkward socially, and if you've ever been the same, let's say you have a social interaction and somebody's a little bit off with you, you say something and you feel like, oh, they just looked at me a bit funny. You could have used to spiral over that. Like for ages you were replaying that conversation in your head where you said something a bit awkward and you were thinking, oh my god, like that is haunting me. Why did I say that? I'm so stupid. Why am I so awkward? I am never socializing again. And 1 year from now, it feels like those situations, you're reframing those. And instead of like taking it as something that you did that was wrong, you were saying like, well, maybe that person was just having an off day because I think I was pretty fucking funny. Like, I think I was charming. I feel good about how I showed up. Like, if they didn't take it the way I intended, that's on them. And I'm not talking about saying things that are like actually objectively inappropriate. I'm more meaning like little awkward things that you overanalyze but nobody really thinks anything about because it probably isn't about you. Like if someone's been off, that is probably 99% most of the time to do with what's going on for them. It's like you're not assigning blame to yourself with no tangible proof. You are choosing a kinder narrative. And it doesn't just have to be with like that example of a social interaction. It's just generally the way you talk about yourself shifts. So instead of you saying, oh my god, I'm terrible with money, I just spend too much on people, it becomes, I love how generous I am and how thoughtful I am when it comes to gifts. Instead of you saying, I'm terrible at maths, it becomes, my talents are more artistic and that's what I'm focusing on. It's like you letting your strengths be in the spotlight and you're letting other people see your strengths too, because you're finally acknowledging them. Now, with that hope daffodil card showing up with the Six of Wands in reverse, this is hope without the spotlight. It feels like you've done a lot behind the scenes when it comes to healing and being persistent and trying again and again, sometimes without much recognition. Maybe you did all this and nobody clapped. It feels like nobody noticed, and that can be very discouraging. But the daffodil is such a perfect symbol because it's spring, it's rebirth, it's new beginnings. And daffodils are resilient as well, you know, they come back year after year. Some people actually plant daffodils in memory of loved ones. So there's something really, really life affirming here. It's like a return of warmth. And it feels like this is saying 1 year from now, it's as though you've got tangible proof that life can be good again. It feels like you're more open, you're more chatty, you're just more vibrant. You know, that King of Swords energy where you were waiting for the other shoe to drop, it feels like that has faded, and this is you trusting that good things can last. It feels fresh. It feels like new chapters are right around the corner, and you are way more excited about what could go right than you are worried about what could go wrong. I'm also getting something about a yellow aura being relevant for some of you, and that speaks to awakening, inspiration, intelligence, playfulness, optimism, and that fits your vibe so well. It feels like you're going to have this really radiant yellow aura about you during this time. Also, what I wanted to say, and we did get a couple of messages like this coming through in my last reading. Again, I can't remember which pile it was. I think it was my last reading. But I did mention then about a fear of being seen and about how the desire for external validation can manifest in a lot of different ways. And this message won't be for all of you, but for a lot of you, this has shown up in some way. And when I say desiring or needing external validation, I don't necessarily mean it in the sense of someone needing to post on Instagram 100 times a day and get a certain amount of likes to feel okay. And I'm not even crapping on anyone who has ever struggled with that, okay? There's zero judgment here. We live in a pretty superficial world at times, and it's a very human thing for our egos to want recognition and reassurance and to assign value to things that on the surface seem petty, especially when you're younger, like a teenager or a young adult. And listen, our generations, well, I don't know what generation you are. You could be older, you could be younger than me. I'm a millennial, but I'm thinking of millennials, Gen Z, and younger, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We understand this though. We understand this on a different level because I'm just talking to my personal experience here. I grew up when so much change was happening on the internet, and a lot of us, we watched in real time as social media and popularity on social media became a currency in a very tangible way. And I'm not saying other generations don't understand that, but I'm saying there was this very specific thing, the tech boom, and unless you experience that very specific shift from the 90s and early 2000s internet to what the internet has become now, whilst your brain was still in a really formative stage and still developing, you might not relate to that pressure in the same way, is all I'm saying. Because I think it's easy to laugh at young people and be like, oh, they're so superficial, they're always on their phones, always taking pictures, always caring about likes. I could never care about something like that. And good for you, genuinely, if that's never been an issue for you, truly. But I do understand it. I have empathy for it, especially for younger people. I mean, I'm in my 30s now. Let me tell you, I do not give one single shit about social media or likes or popularity. I'm too tired, okay? My back hurts too much to get good angles on Instagram, okay? I do have Instagram. I sometimes lurk. I sometimes watch reels, but I don't really use it. I don't care about that kind of thing. However, I do remember being 13 years old and caring who was in my top friends on MySpace. And the internet back then wasn't anywhere near what it is now with influencers and all of that and AI and editing. It's basically turned into the nosedive episode of Black Mirror. I don't know whether that's relevant for you guys, but my point is I can only imagine what teenagers and young people now are dealing with. There is so much pressure, and whilst you might be above that kind of thing now, it's okay if others aren't. It's easy to say oh, it's just so petty to care about that, and yeah, it kind of is, but we live in a petty world sometimes, and we also live in a world where petty things like clout and visibility can influence people's lives in these huge tangible ways. So of course people's identity and self-worth can get wrapped up in likes and views and following. But my point with this, and I went off on a massive tangent there, and I'm sorry about that, that's just how I am, but it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be, oh, you post on social media all the time because you want validation. I don't mean it like that. External validation seeking can show up in more subtle ways. It can be you feeling like you need a reassurance that someone still likes you, or that your friend hasn't fallen out with you just because they forgot to text you back for a couple of hours. That one's for my anxious attachers. Or it can be something like you feeling excited and dead set on a certain career path or a passion, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. And then one person maybe doesn't even tell you it's a bad idea. They just go like, oh, are you sure? And suddenly you are doubting yourself, or you're talking yourself out of it, and you're like, oh wait, am I sure? Maybe I'm not so sure anymore. And you start asking for input you didn't even need before, just to validate the fear. Or it can be the complete opposite, like not wanting to be seen at all, never wanting to ask for advice at all, refusing to put yourself out there or ask for any kind of validation because it feels cringy or it feels embarrassing. But 1 year from now, you're not asking for permission anymore. You are choosing hope. You're not choosing cynicism. You are choosing the option that says, maybe this could go very, very, very right. You trust yourself. You're like, if it feels right in my soul, I'm doing it. And you're also way more comfortable receiving compliments. You know, you're not doing that thing anymore where someone says, your hair looks good, and you immediately spiral like, no, it doesn't. How dare you? My hair is greasy and disgusting and I haven't washed it in 10 months. Your hair is way better than mine. Instead, you're just like, oh, thank you. You accept it. You share tips. You laugh. It becomes a really warm exchange, and people leave that conversation thinking, wow, that person is so bright, they're funny, they're really cool to talk to, and that attracts more to you. And the inner critic, he's quieter, you shut him up. You've basically been like, go listen to one of your crappy alpha male podcasts and mind your fucking business, inner critic. Like, I'm nourishing myself, I'm enjoying my time on this earth, leave me alone please. And I'm using the alpha male podcast example because it's peak toxic control energy, like jumping to bizarre conclusions. You're moving away from that and embracing your blessings with open arms. And then we have the hope jar with the King of Wands. And I just think that is so fucking cool, pile 3, because this is where hope stops being passive and becomes activated. 1 year from now, you are not just wishing, you are taking action. You are leading yourself, and I'm hearing that your confidence skyrockets. Very specifically, some of you guys could be doing like a gratitude jar. That could be significant. Like every day you have a literal jar and you put little papers in it. Maybe every day or once a week you write down one good thing, something you're grateful for, or a compliment you got, a moment where you felt on top of the world, really capable, or just a memory you want to keep hold of. And maybe you put it in the jar so that you can open it next year. And 1 year from now, it feels like opening it is essentially proof that you can be excited, proof that you can have pride, confirmation that good things happen in your life and that it's safe to trust that those good things are secure. I'm also getting something about mason jars and spell work, something about sweetener jars, petition jars, you affirming to yourself, life is sweet to me, good things happen to me. Some of you could be in the process of like reprogramming your subconscious with subliminals. I'm also getting something about glamour magic. Affirmations generally could be relevant. Whatever your method is, but it's like 1 year from now, whatever you're doing, these statements have really sunk in so deeply that they feel like fact, not fiction. This isn't a sort of fake it till you make it kind of energy. It's, I believe this, I embody this, I know it's true. It's going to be your default. Whereas if your default right now is to kind of think about all potential outcomes, especially the bad ones, as a hyper focus, or to pick yourself apart, 1 year from now, it becomes so much easier to intercept those thoughts. You don't have to try so hard. It becomes just like your new normal. And I'm hearing by next year, you've got this proof that you are fully capable of great things and that it can only get better. Things that you once thought weren't possible become easy. They become natural. And not only that, but they actually become a launch pad for more. You're less afraid to go into unknown territory. If your brain used to run into that like, oh, what if it goes bad kind of loop, next year you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try it because you trust yourself. You trust your own leadership. You trust that you won't lead yourself down the wrong path. And this can show up in big and small ways. For some of you, it could be that by this time next year, you have landed a big promotion, a leadership position, something entrepreneurial. This could be starting your own business, branching out, being self-sufficient, going at it alone, something like that. Or it could be smaller, you know, you speaking up in a meeting when you used to stay quiet before because of imposter syndrome. And then people, it's like they validate your ideas and you're like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like maybe I should speak up more often. And then you go from like, I have this idea to actually, I could lead this entire project. And like I say, it doesn't have to be in big ways, it can be in small ways. And I'm getting this random example, like it goes back to that thing about you giving yourself the best because you know you deserve it. Maybe you guys want to bring a really nourishing meal to work, but it needs heating up and there's only one microwave at your office and you have limited time. And, you know, when you've tried to heat something up in the microwave before, your colleague walks in and they're like, oh, are you using the microwave? And even if they don't say anything rude, their disappointment in that moment makes you shrink. You're like, oh, fine, I won't bring this again. Like, I'll bring my boring ass sandwich, even though the microwave is for everyone and I'm just as entitled to use it. You don't want to be the asshole. So you're like, oh, I'll just bring a sandwich so they can use the microwave every day. But 1 year from now, when Sandra walks in and she's like, oh, are you using the microwave? You're like, yes, Sandra, I'm using the microwave because I deserve to use the microwave. And Sandra's like, oh, okay, I'll come back. Because it's not a big deal. You don't shrink, you stand tall. And if before your inner critic was like, Sandra is going to complain, Sandra hates me, Sandra's going to try and get me fired because she can't microwave her curry right this second, so she wants me to die. 1 year from now, it's like you stop believing that irrational narrative. You realise you're just as worthy as everyone else. You are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to use your voice. You're allowed to trust your vision and you are allowed to lead. And there's also something about your influence really, really growing. Like, people gravitate towards you, pal 3. You're going to be lighting up a room in this really warm and vibrant and open and funny and passionate and creative and inspired way. Some of you might even notice people like kind of imitating you during this time, copying you, or just wanting your advice, like really, really trusting your guidance. You are becoming the go-to person. You're very magnetic 1 year from now. But the thing is, you've always had this in you. It's just showing up really vividly during this time. With contentment and with the Fool, this is such a gorgeous energy, pal 3, because 1 year from now, you are content because you've allowed yourself to begin again, is something I'm getting. And contentment doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means I'm okay where I am and I trust where I'm going. The Fool brings this lightness back into your life. It brings this curiosity and this playfulness, this optimism. It's like freedom from the usual constraints. It's a kind of blank slate energy and you're really excited about that. You're not scared of it. And there's this big feeling of like, there's so much more to discover. I am only at the beginning here. And if you're watching this around the time I upload, the start of 2026, that's a year 1 energy. You don't have to be, but if you are, that could be relevant. For some of you, it might even be a personal year 1 for you guys. That doesn't have to be the case, but it's interesting because it fits. This is about you like rediscovering who you are, and it's only the beginning. Something new is being initiated here. So this time next year, you could very well be starting something big, getting something new off the ground. It could be a business, a career, going to school, going towards a new field. It could be a meaningful new relationship, something creative, doing a course, starting a YouTube channel, writing a book, or putting out a podcast. But it's something you feel really, really good about. Even if everything isn't mapped out perfectly, 1 year from now, you feel satisfied because you feel like you're on the right track. And there's this message that it's going to get bigger than you can currently even conceive. For some reason, I'm getting like an image of Bambi, like Bambi learning to walk. It's giving me that kind of vibe. I don't mean that in an infantilizing way, but it's that thing of like, you're ready to stand on your own 2 feet because you're new to something. It might feel a little bit wobbly, it might feel a little bit unsteady, but you trust the process. You're ready for this now and you're willing to learn, and you don't necessarily expect perfection because you are just having fun. You're saying yes more. You're like, what the heck, I'll try it, because you have learned that good things happen when you try things. And because you allow yourself to be a beginner, you will eventually become a master at this. You will eventually become a leader. But right now it's like you're only just getting started and you're okay with that. With alignment and the last quarter moon, this is such a grown-up spiritual message, okay? Because alignment here isn't necessarily about adding more and more and more rituals. It's about refining. It's reflection, it's reassessment, forgiveness, release, and course correction. 1 year from now, it's going to be much easier for you to shift back into alignment when something goes off track. And when I say it's not about adding more and more rituals, I think your rituals and what you're doing will be important to you, but it's not just like, because I think sometimes we can outsource all our autonomy onto the universe when we don't do the inner work. Basically what I'm saying is like the inner work should coexist with the rituals. It shouldn't be like one over the other, or just constantly doing petitions and spell jars and rituals, but not actually checking in with ourselves. That's all I mean. And honestly, most of you guys get this, like, and most of the time, 1 year from now, you are already aligned. Like, these cards are absolutely gorgeous. They tell a really exciting and beautiful story. It feels like you are very content, you're very hopeful, and you're at the precipice of something new and fresh and fun and interesting. But, you know, when you go along, if you're at the beginning of that journey, this is like about trial and error. Like when something isn't working, you don't spiral, you don't go back to those old mechanisms where you fall off track and you're like, well, that proves that I'm not good at this, I might as well just give up forever. You don't get dramatic about it like that. You're like, okay, let's look at this. You know, what's working, what's not? How can we adjust? How can we support the version of me that I want to be and get ourselves back into alignment? And you do it with compassion. You're not like berating yourself. You understand you won't get everything right immediately, especially as a beginner. You allow for that discovery to take place and you use it as a learning opportunity. Like figuring out what doesn't work is really, really useful. And it's about taking everything as like a learning opportunity. And you know how we spoke about you stepping into that leadership role? I actually think it's being a good leader to yourself. And it goes back to that message about like you're giving yourself the best. Because when we think of a leader in the corporate world, like if we think of a good boss, you know, on a team of people, morale is often low when the person at the top, when the leadership is toxic and they can't manage the team effectively. And that could be, you know, when a boss only criticizes and nitpicks and never praises their team, that team isn't going to feel very inspired. But a good leader offers compassion and guidance. A good leader understands that mistakes are part of learning, and that's you with yourself next year. You treat yourself like a good leader treats a team member, a valued team member. You ask, you know, how can I support you? How can I build your confidence? How can I help you learn? How can I help you grow? How can I give you grace so you can continue building that confidence and stepping into the best version of yourself that you are meant to be? You become your own safe manager, basically. You're like professional, but inspiring as well. You release old toxic mentalities and you are replacing them with a very supportive outlook. With the waning moon and the Four of Wands, this is release plus celebration. So yeah, the waning moon, it's about letting go, it's about gratitude, it's about introspection, it can be about releasing what no longer serves us and giving thanks for what we've learned. And the Four of Wands is that sense of belonging energy, it's stability, it's milestones, it's home energy. So 1 year from now, you guys really feel like there is so much to celebrate. You guys may have hit a milestone and you're really impressed by how far you've come. You feel very settled in that place. This could show up in so many different ways. If you're starting a new relationship now, let's say, and you still feel anxious, you're still in that mode where you're kind of like always waiting for things to go wrong, 1 year from now, it's like you feel fully at home and settled with that person because you've had that tangible proof that things can go really, really right and you feel like you belong. If you're starting a new job right now and you feel like you keep making mistakes and you're like, I'll never get the hang of this, I'll never settle in, maybe it's not meant for me. 1 year from now, it's like you're comfortable, you've mastered the role, you know that job like the back of your hand. You have found your rhythm. You might even be ready to expand it into something deeper. Like there's a solid ground beneath you. You've released patterns that have held you back and you've learned to forgive yourself too. You look at past versions of you with more compassion. You understand why you were the way you were, but you don't let those mentalities run your life. And yeah, I'm also seeing something really major about gatherings. There's going to be a bigger celebration this time next year, Pal 3. I'm seeing a social event, I'm seeing champagne flowing, and specifically somebody toasting to you, somebody saying they're proud of you. That's going through really, really strongly. There's a moment where people are genuinely really proud of you and celebrating you, and you actually allow yourself to receive that. Maybe there's something about like opening that gratitude jar and, you know, reflecting on what it took to get from A to B. There's something here that truly deserves like a massive, massive celebration, Pal 3. And finally, we have messages of forgiveness and the setting sun. This feels like the emotional conclusion of the whole reading. 1 year from now, you've forgiven. And it's not because what happened was okay, but it's because you know that you deserve peace. The setting sun is closure. It's that gentle ending. It's this soft light after a really, really long and intense day. It's you closing a chapter officially, saying goodbye to an old cycle or an old version of you. This could be forgiving somebody specific from your past, forgiving yourself for your coping mechanisms, or forgiving life for not quite unfolding the way you hoped at certain times, But whatever it is, you are not dragging it into the future anymore. You've learned the lesson, you've integrated it, and the day gets to end. And because the day ends, the next morning is lighter and fresher. So overall, 1 year from now, pal 3, you are more aligned. You are less mentally harsh with yourself. You are very hopeful and very decisive. You are content and you don't stagnate. You don't wallow. You are very open to new beginnings, and you're just generally emotionally lighter. Life feels steadier and calmer and more intentional, but it also feels like something big to celebrate. So that's what I'm getting for you, pal 3, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for being here with me as we move into my 3rd year on YouTube. I can't believe it. It honestly means more to me than I can ever put into words that you choose to sit here and listen and reflect and grow and heal alongside me. If you feel called to, please like, comment, hype, share and sub. It genuinely helps me so very much, and it helps these readings reach the people they are meant for. It helps more than you know, so if you feel that little nudge, please go for it. Even just an emoji or letting me know which pal you picked really helps. Please take what resonates and leave the rest. Be kind to yourself and trust that you're exactly where you need to be right now. I love you lots. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, pal 3. Hi Pal 4 Collective. If you chose the Britt's Third Eye Tarot and the butterfly sticker and you chose Pal 4, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Who Are You? What is Life Like 1 year from now? A glimpse into your future. If you'd like a full breakdown of everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I'd recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But very briefly, this reading is a glimpse into your future. What does your life look like exactly 1 year from now, and who are you? All about the energy you're embodying. As with all predictive readings, this isn't set in stone. This is based on current energy. Things can always shift and change. This is just one look into a potential future. You don't have to accept anything as your story if it simply isn't. But without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards and tarot cards that we pulled for you today. I'm just going to move your little butterfly to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. So we have got from the Wild Muse Oracle, updates to your system, clarified by the Three of Pentacles. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 11, Transition, Cauliflower, and that is clarified by the Hanged Man. From the Witchcraft Oracle, we've got Moon Wishes. The moon shows me patience, clarified by the Two of Swords. From the Wise Witch Oracle, we have got Transformation. Transformation is brewing. Embrace change and harness its magic. That's really interesting that we're getting transformation with the transition as well. That's pretty big energy, powerful. Clarifying transformation is the Chariot. From the Affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got growth. And clarifying growth, we have got the Ace of Cups. From the Moonology Oracle deck, we have got You Are Good Enough, Full Moon in Virgo, and clarifying Full Moon in Virgo, we have got the Moon. From the Voices of the Souls Oracle, we have got number 1, Abundance, so we've got 111. Very nice. And clarifying Abundance, we've got Judgment. Okay. Interesting. So before we dive into the cards, I always like to mention the numbers when we're using cards with numbers, in case any of these are relevant to you. They certainly don't have to be in order for this to be your pile. I just like to point these out in case they're significant. So for you, pile 4, we have the numbers 1, 11, and 28. These could be relevant in a few different ways. For example, somebody here could be born on the 1st, 11th, or 28th of a month. January, November, or February birthdays could be important for you guys. The number 28 is especially interesting because in numerology, it reduces down to 1. So we've already got really strong 1s coming through. New beginnings, leadership, identity shift energy coming through for this pile. Some of you guys could be 28 years old right now, or that age could have been a really pivotal time for you, a turning point in your life, something to do with transformation. For others, it could indicate that 2028 is going to be a year that feels really significant, or the number 28 could be popping up for you as a synchronicity if we look at the individual numbers. 2 is about patience, balance, and learning how to work with timing. 8 is about power, success, abundance, and visibility, and 11 is a liminal number. It's one of transition, awakening, and crossing a threshold. So there's this really strong story here of waiting and then transitioning and then stepping into power that's coming through for you guys, pile 4. Astrologically, this could also connect to 1st house or Aries energy, 2nd house Taurus energy, 8th house Scorpio energy, or 11th house Aquarius energy, and themes to do with those houses. You could have prominent placements there, either in the signs or houses, or those areas of your life could be especially active for you 1 year from now. And as always, if there's a number here that jumps out to you in some other way, and I haven't mentioned it specifically, an angel number or something like that, I mean 111, that is a pretty big angel number if you're seeing a lot of that, you can absolutely take that as confirmation. Obviously I can't mention absolutely everything and all the meanings here, but yeah, feel free to take that as a confirmation if I've missed anything. But yeah, okay, pile 4. This is the metamorphosis pile, because from the very start of your reading, that butterfly sticker you chose was calling to me, because 1 year from now, you have fully emerged from the cocoon. Brand new energy, brand new identity, pile 4, and this won't be subtle. This is the kind of glow up where people don't just get a vague sense that something's different, they can literally see it, like it's very visible. And for a lot of you, this is also a confirmation. If you have been in a transitional period recently, like knowing that something has to change, feeling that energy brewing, but not quite feeling ready to fully emerge just yet, like you've been stuck between point A and point B for a while, you know, 1 foot still in the old life and 1 foot stepping into a brand new one. 1 year from now is when you're not balancing between the two anymore in the same way. It's like you're living fully in the new. And for some of you, this may be a way more specific message. Transition could be literal. We could be talking gender identity, gender affirming care, a name change, a new identity in a very real sense. That might be for one specific person. And when I think of name change, regardless of anything to do with gender, it could be like losing a married name or just choosing a different name, like going with a different surname, a first name, signing documents differently, something about that is coming through. But for most of you, if it's not one of those literal things, it feels like a metaphor for this past year being a strange in-between era where you've been halfway out of the old story but not fully inside a new one yet. And this is almost making me think of alter egos, the idea of alter egos, not because you're fake or putting on a persona, but because it's like you've kind of had to try on the future version of you. Like, for example, you know how certain celebrities have their stage personas? So a really famous one could be Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, right? That whole like, I put the costume on, I get on stage, I step into that confidence, I embody that fearlessness for the performance. But then when I go home and take it off, I'm not in that persona anymore. And it feels like you've been doing something similar to that in your own life. You know, maybe the you at work, for instance, is different from the you at home. The you with your friends is different from the you with your family. The you in public is different from the you when you're alone. And it's a degree of like involuntary masking, I think, a degree of performing confidence or bravery or transformation, but not feeling like you can fully feel safe or embody it 100% of the time just yet. And 1 year from now, you don't really have to try to be that alter ego anymore because you just are. Like, you've integrated. You don't have to pretend to be fearless, confident, decisive, powerful. You don't have to fake it till you make it. It's fully integrated. The costume is off, but the energy remains at the center of it all. Now, with updates to your system clarified by the 3 of Pentacles, this is given a whole reboot, like a computer being upgraded, and suddenly it's like you're programmed with all the latest technology, and it just allows you to do more and to see more and to like move through life a lot smoother and faster. I'm getting like a full body system upgrade that feels like an actual jolt. It feels like electricity. And what's important here too is it feels like you are getting the support you need to actually hold your genius, is something I'm hearing, because it's not that your ideas weren't good. Your ideas have always been great and your vision has always been clear from your perspective. It's just that it's like you weren't on the right operating system yet. It's almost like, it's really hard to explain, but I'm getting this example of like, okay, so how many of you have worked at like a dusty old office with the oldest computers known to man, the ones that take about 20 minutes to start up, and then when you get on the program you need to go on, it crashes as soon as you're trying to do something important, and you were just like, I could do my job so much faster and more efficiently if this computer actually worked, like if the computer facilitated that. Like, I know how to do it, but the computer isn't letting me, it's not cooperating. That's almost what this energy feels like. Like your brain and your vision have kind of been ahead of what your system or your environment in this instance could keep up with. you've always had this very agile and very futuristic mind, but it's like you've been bottlenecked by something. And I'm seeing this image of wires lining up right now, you know, in sci-fi films where there's like a big motherboard of switches and wires, and the characters have to connect the right thing or flip the right switch, plug the right wire into the right socket to save the world. That's what I'm seeing. And before, it's like you were kind of just guessing and hoping for the best, but 1 year from now, the wires are lining up, they're in the right place, things click, the system boots up properly, everything feels more aligned and it runs smoother, and you can finally execute your vision in a tangible way. This could even be about like communication. Maybe before, when you tried to explain complex ideas, it's as though something got lost in translation. Like you input something on the computer and the computer's like, I don't know how to do that. You know, when you ask Alexa something and you feel like you've been really, really clear. Like I do this all the time, I have to say. So Alexa controls my lights in the living room, and I'll say like, well, I think I'm saying, Alexa, can you turn on the lights? And she'll be like, sorry, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to do that? I was pretty fucking clear, Alexa. But I have to say it in a certain way. I think I have to specify living room lights, otherwise she doesn't understand it. And sometimes I forget, and she's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. But it's kind of like that. Something will get tangled, and the person on the receiving end of that message, or the thing on the receiving end of that message, wouldn't fully understand. And you'd be like, oh, that's not what I mean. And it was hard to make people understand what you could already see so clearly. But 1 year from now, it's like you're surrounded by people who are on the same wavelength. They can see the vision, they get it, they want to support it. This can be a literal collaboration, it could be a team at work, a creative team, a business partnership, people wanting to invest in a project, a community who are fully behind something that you're doing or building. And it could also be emotional support, like a small number of loyal people who truly, truly have your back. And I really feel like the 11th house themes are strong here, you know, friendships, networks, online communities, hopes and wishes, future goals, humanitarian or tech-based stuff. This is given like, I found my people. And it doesn't have to be a super massive friend group. It could literally be just 1 or 2 individuals, but it's like you have found your village in some form this time next year. For some reason, I'm also seeing a panel of judges, you know, on a show like X Factor or American Idol, where someone sort of looks at you and goes, you know, they're rough around the edges, but the raw talent is undeniable. I'm taking them to the top. Like, I have faith in them. I'm not saying it's literally that, but it's this energy of someone saying yes to you, someone taking a chance on you, someone seeing your potential and kind of backing you with that. Even, you know, on a much, much smaller scale than like the X Factor and fame and things like that. It could be something as simple as a friend offering you a place to stay when you're broke, because they believe that you are fully capable of getting back on your feet, and they know that you have integrity and that you're not going to stay down for long. So even if they're like struggling as well financially, or they don't have much room in their house, they're like, you know, I know that Power 4 is going to get back up on their feet, so I'm going to take this chance on them because I trust them that they can do that. 1 year from now, you're like, damn, like this person's support was paramount in my come up. Like, yes, you could have done it alone, but it's like you would have had to take a longer way round. And, you know, this isn't any kind of weakness to be supported. Humans are social creatures. We are meant to have our village. And this pilot's showing that 1 year from now, you're going to be really, really grateful for the people who understood, who saw your vision, and who helped you hold it. That is the thing here. You have people to help you hold it. Now, with transition clarified by the Hanged Man, this is the limbo-y part of the story. Because 1 year from now, things really start moving. Okay, things start moving in a big way. We will talk about that. But for a while, it felt sort of suspended, like you were just waiting around, like you didn't have an answer. It's like you played your part, but something was out of your hands. And the not knowing, I don't think you enjoyed that, Power 4. I mean, who would? But like, you're the type of person who can see the future so clearly. You're the type of person who knows where you want to be, and you can usually map the route. So being in this position where you are waiting on an external influence, you are waiting on a yes, you are waiting on somebody's decision, waiting on a process, that can feel really, really disempowering. And again, there's that energy of having that 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future. And it's hard to plan anything because you don't know what the outcome will be. It's hard to fully embody either identity in a significant way because you're still sort of dangling in the in-between. And I think you worked really hard to detach from obsessing over it, because it could have consumed you, is the thing, Power 4. It could have felt like your entire future depended on it. And maybe for a period of time you did feel feel that way, but it got to the point where you said to yourself, you know what, I've done my part, whatever will be, I cannot control the outcome now. And you're still rooting for it, like you still want it, but you also understand that you can't base your entire happiness on waiting for a decision. You still have to live in the meantime, is what I'm getting. And the examples I'm getting for this are all situations where like you can't move forward until something external shifts. So I'm not saying that it has to be one of these examples that I'm going to list, but it's this kind of energy. So, you know, something like a house sale going through, the chain, the stress, the delays, you know, wanting to tie down roots but not being able to fully commit in either direction because you are waiting for something to come through. You're waiting on this sale or waiting on an offer being accepted, or, you know, a job offer you're waiting on. You know that you smashed the interview, you nailed it, and they said that you'd hear back, so you start trying to plan this new life with this new job, but then it's been 2 weeks and you are still just hanging there like, hello, like nobody's got back to me. Or medical news, you know, being on a waiting list, needing treatment, waiting for a board to decide on something and feeling like your life is on hold because you don't know when that call is coming. Or even like government or legal stuff, things like custody or divorce, financial support, benefits, waiting for a decision after you submitted everything. And it's hard to plan when you don't know what resources you'll have. Even like a kind of romantic limbo, that could apply too, like being torn between moving on and going back, being told that someone needs space and things kind of being up in the air. And you are like, you know, I can't plan my life around this uncertainty. But by this time next year, you have more clarity, you have more answers, and you have more direction. And the big thing here is you're not going to be dangling anymore, you're not going to be waiting, and then the momentum comes back. The solution arrives, and the thing that was stuck for so long begins to move. We have moon wishes clarified by the Two of Swords, and I'm literally hearing the song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Some of you could have been watching Stranger Things recently. Yeah, or that song might be relevant for someone. But I do see a big decision here 1 year from now. It's not necessarily an easy decision. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not necessarily simple and straightforward. And it might be one of those decisions where you do go back and forth and you do your pros and cons list and you do have to sit with it for a minute. But what I love about this Powerful is that I see you as fully qualified and equipped to make that decision. And it's because of everything you've already been through up until this point. Because you guys understand better than anyone what it is like to be trapped in waiting mode. You understand what it's like to want so desperately to move and to have answers and to feel slowed down by someone or something else. So even though you are going to be giving yourself patience to decide properly, and that's important because you do understand patience better than anyone at this point, there's also this energy of being like, you know, I've already done my time. I'm not wasting my life waiting around. I want the future to happen now. And you are going after that future. There's something though about going inwards with this moon energy. It's kind of like connecting to your emotional body. And honestly, I'm getting something about making your inner child proud. Like, what life did your inner child pray for? What would make that child feel safe and excited? What choice would they want you to make? And I don't think one option is going to be wrong here. Like, both paths could lead to this transformation. That's what it looks like. The big point here is that the decision is yours. But I do feel like for you guys, the decision is existential in the way you approach it. And it's not in a way where you should be afraid of that, but it's because you guys, and you will know this, you think very big picture. You think like way ahead. You think always not just about the impact right now on you, but you think about like way ahead in the future. You think about community, you think about things on a global scale, you think about knock-on effects, you consider your values and your ethics, you essentially consider every possible outcome. And that can create a little bit of indecision because, of course, there are pros and cons to everything. But there's also something really, really empowering here because you're like, at least I get the choice. Like, that is so important. Even if it feels like if you choose one path, you might lose something else. I want you to know it is okay to choose what's best for you anyway. Do what would make your inner child proud, even if it comes with some element of like minor grief or this bittersweet feeling, because you will not lose everything. Even if in the moment it feels like you will have to sacrifice one thing, it will come back to you. And that Three of Pentacles, that keeps coming through too. That's saying like you have support, you have your people, you have something to lean on. You have someone who says, I've got you, you're safe, we've got this. And if you're like, Nosy Witch, I literally have no friends, I'm saying like, no, there is somebody or something or some form of support that is showing up for you. You are not left alone in this with this decision. And it doesn't have to be this example, but one random example I'm getting is like of a relationship being rocky, and then you, at the time this relationship stuff is going on, you get your dream job offer. It's once in a lifetime, but you have to move states, and you're worried it could jeopardize that already rocky relationship. Like, you're thinking, if I take this job, I might lose this other thing. And this isn't about me telling you what to do, because part of what makes the decision empowering is that it's yours and you have agency. Like, that's the whole point. So what the message is, make sure your inner child is happy with the choice. Like, make sure you can be proud of it, even if it means leaving something or someone behind, because the future version of you is ready to fully transform, and you know what it feels like to have agency taken away. So when you do have that agency, you use it. You don't let opportunities pass you by. And once you make that decision, growth, clarified by the Ace of Cups, comes in, and let me tell you, powerful things pop off. Everything expands. We're going to go back to transformation and the Chariot, don't worry, but right now I'm looking at these two cards, growth and the Ace of Cups. Oh, perfect. Everything expands. This is the moment of coming out of the shell, coming out of the cocoon. You've taken your butterfly nutrition and there's nothing holding you back. And new feelings emerge, new emotional fulfillment. And I really see you having that moment where you're like, I made the right decision. I did that, and look at it now. Something is going to be blooming. And even if the decision was scary at the time, you feel that deep sense of rightness. I was going to say righteousness. That's not what I mean, but there is this overwhelming sense of like, this is where I'm meant to be. This was the right choice. Thank God I did this. And yes, for some of you, it is a little bit bittersweet. You might have some grief for what you leave behind, even if you're excited, and that's okay. But 1 year from now, you're also in this deep place of gratitude, because you have a deep respect for what the past has taught you. You understand why it had to happen like this, because you wouldn't have been able to grow without taking the step. And it doesn't even have to be that you actually lose something. It might just feel that way when you're making the choice. It doesn't have to be, you know, that relationship example that I gave. Like, another example could be you moving away from your family home, leaving a friend or a roommate you love and becoming more independent. And you're like, I'm excited, but I'm terrified because I'm such a homebody. I'm scared I'll lose touch with these important people, or I won't see them as much as I used to. And then you get there and you settle in and you're like, I'm so glad I did this. Like, if I didn't do this now, I never would have done it. And I'm glad that I've kind of passed that threshold. And I feel like a brand new person. Like, you love the new city you're in, you love your job, you love that new place, and you still FaceTime your people every single day. You still stay connected. And yeah, you might cry from time to time, because if you're used to hugging your family every single day and you can't do that, it is a little bit sad. But the love for the new opportunity outweighs that bittersweet feeling, because you knew it had to happen. Like, the future had to come at some point and you were ready for that, even if it was scary. I'm also getting like Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. It's very Thank You Next energy. Like, grateful for what came before, grateful for what it taught you, but very much ready to move forward and let the next chapter grow. And then yeah, if we go back to transformation and the Chariot, let me talk about that, because I'm hearing all systems go and eyes on the prize. Because once you commit, powerful, things move fast. Really, really, really fast. I'm picturing an action sequence in a film, like intense music, everyone doing different things towards the same ultimate goal, everything coming together at once. And once the plan is set in motion, there is really, really no stopping it. 1 year from now, people are going to be shocked at how quickly things accumulate, how quickly you come into your own, and how fast you've integrated that alter ego we talked about. And you deserve that, powerful, because you waited so long for it, and sometimes it was tough to believe that it could happen, right? But this is full transformation taking root. This is the moment it's obvious that you are a different person, and you did the work, you made the tough calls, you got to where you needed to be, and at this point it's like nothing can deter you. Your focus is locked, your arrow is pointed in the right direction. Everything is just growing in your life. You are jumping over obstacles, the momentum is increasing, things happen in like the blink of an eye. And I love how clear the contrast is. With that Two of Swords, it's sort of the like waving goodbye reluctantly, second guessing, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, half ready. And the Chariot is so different to that. The Chariot is like, nope, I'm standing on my own 2 feet now. I know where I'm going. The transformation is complete, it's integrated. You're not asking anyone for reassurance. You're not wavering on this, you are just moving. And then we have the full moon in Virgo. you are good enough, clarified by the moon. And this is such a powerful mix because it's about practicality working with intuition. 1 year from now, you guys, powerful, you trust your intuition way more than you did. You can feel things before they happen. You've probably always had this, that's the thing, but sometimes you might have ignored it. Dreams could be really significant to you during this time. Psychic dreams, predictive dreams. It's almost like you can sense what the next trend is before it happens, and you move towards it because you really trust your judgment this time around. Like Virgo full moon energy, it's also that sort of decluttering, purifying, streamlining your life sort of vibe, but releasing perfectionism, releasing self-criticism, releasing the fear of making mistakes. So where you were unsure before, where you were kind of in waiting mode, now you're making practical moves, you're more efficient, you're more precise, less indecisive. Once those big decisions are made, everything else kind of aligns and falls into place. Like things become streamlined because you know how capable you are. You know you can stand on your own 2 feet now, and you're not outsourcing your inner guidance anymore. You're going with that knowing, and you're taking the real world steps to support what you feel is coming. It really does feel like 1 year from now, the universe is giving you a very, very clear sign that you are deserving of everything that comes in. And I say that because it feels like, you know, especially during those long waiting periods, and especially when you guys were sitting in that Two of Swords energy, there were moments where fear and anxiety could have crept in and started telling you stories that weren't true. You know, stories like, why does everything come with strings? Or why can't things just ever be easy? Why does it feel like I can't have everything? Like no matter what I choose, I'm gonna lose something. And the moon tells me that these were things you simply couldn't see yet. And it's not because you weren't intuitive enough, it's not because you weren't doing the work, but it's because some outcomes were hidden until the right moment. But the Virgo full moon is about clarity. And this is saying like you had to trust the process before the full picture could be revealed. And 1 year from now, you understand that you were never ever being asked to sacrifice your happiness. You were being asked to wait until it could arrive in a way that didn't cost you your soul. This is essentially like 1 year from now, you're going to have your cake and eat it too. Powerful, like the things you thought you were losing back then, you weren't losing it at all. You were making room. And what comes in now doesn't come with those same strings or those same compromises or that same sense of lack. The universe is showing you really, really clearly that multiple good things can be true for you at once. You can have love, stability, abundance, and alignment. You can have it all. You just couldn't see it yet. And 1 year from now, that realization brings so much relief because you finally understand why things are going to unfold the way they do or the way they did. And finally, abundance clarified by judgment. This is the rebirth. This is the turning point where the decision you made and the transformation you committed to becomes the gateway into your aligned path and your future purpose. 1 year from now, powerful, you know you're meant to be exactly where you are. You have clarity about what to do moving forward, and you're going to be moving up in the world. You're like way more confident and self-assured than you were, and the abundance is in all areas. You know, money, finances, friendships, your business doing well, being surrounded by this loving, loyal circle, finally feeling truly appreciated, feeling like you belong in a very specific location, in a job, a community, a group of people. It's that repeated feeling of you saying, I'm really glad I did this. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is the path I'm meant to be on. I'm really glad I decided this, that I took this chance, that I chose this. And I really want to stress how big this abundance is for you, powerful. This doesn't feel like a small win or like just a polite little reward to keep you going. This feels like the universe opening up the fucking floodgates, basically. Like, it's almost like there's this huge cosmic nod, this acknowledgement of everything you've endured or waited through or surrendered to. That was for a purpose. It's the universe saying, you know, we saw you, powerful, we saw how patient you were, we saw the integrity of your decision, we saw that you didn't rush, you didn't take shortcuts, you didn't abandon yourself, and we knew we could trust you with this. And then it's like, here it is, opportunities stacking on top of each other, whether it's financial relief or financial growth or financial stability arriving in ways that feel almost surreal after how long things were stalled, or whether it's people showing up who really want to invest in you and work with you and support you and keep choosing you, being in the right place at the right time, doors like just opening for you without you having to kick them down. This could be abundance through career, creative success, relocation, community, or simply feeling like life is finally just like working with you instead of against you. It feels like this big turning point where you look around and you're like, oh, this is what it was all for. There's relief and there's gratitude, and there's this deep knowing that the wait wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. The universe never ever forgot you, it was lining things up for you, and 1 year from now, it feels like you're going to get really big proof of that. And you know how we were saying when you make this decision, it's kind of like you feel like you're going to be losing something. I'm getting this really specific message that whatever it is you thought you would lose by choosing yourself, you are not losing it, not even a little bit, like not even at all. In fact, 1 year from now, it's as though the universe is handing it back to you tenfold in a way that actually makes you kind of like laugh and cry at the same time. So for example, if you made the heartbreaking decision to walk away from a relationship that wasn't aligned, even though you like desperately wanted it to work at the time, even though you thought that that was your chance at love or family or stability and you weren't going to get another chance, 1 year from now, this could be you experiencing the greatest love you've ever known, you know, feeling truly chosen, safe, feeling adored, maybe even like starting the family you always wanted and thought you'd miss your window for. And it's like the universe is saying, no, you didn't miss it, you didn't lose it, we had you the whole time, it just wasn't meant to happen with that person or in that exact way that you thought it would. Or maybe you thought you lost out on a dream house, you know, a house you imagined your future in, and you were devastated when it didn't work out, when the sale didn't go through. But 1 year from now, you could be living somewhere even better, a place that suits you even more, feels more like home, gives you more space, more peace, more joy than you could have imagined back then. Or maybe you walked away from a job, an income stream, or a career path because your health, your sanity, or your soul couldn't take it anymore. And at the time, it felt terrifying, like you were giving up on your only chance at security. But 1 year from now, you could be earning more, doing something way more aligned with more flexibility and more respect and more ease. And I want to be really clear, I'm not saying these exact things will happen for everyone. You know, if you don't want those examples like marriage or kids or houses or a job, that's not the point here. The message here is the pattern. Like whatever you thought you sacrificed by choosing yourself, by listening to your intuition, by making that brave decision, it comes back to you in a form that actually fits you better, it's healthier for you, it's even bigger than what you thought, and it's more aligned. It's like the universe saying, you know, we knew we could trust you with that choice, we knew you'd do the right thing for your soul, and this is us taking care of you. So it's not like punishment energy, this is big reward energy. And yeah, there's some element of like delayed gratification, but it's turning into something so good, and it makes you realize the timing had to be exactly the way it's going to be. So overall, 1 year from now, Pal 4, you are way more confident. It's like you've shed an old version of yourself that kept you stuck in that in-between. You've fully embodied the transformation that you worked really, really hard for, and life just feels way more abundant and more purposeful and more expansive than before. This is absolutely a glow up people notice, but not only because you may look different, but because you are different. You trust yourself, you move with more intention, and you take up space without apology. So that's what I'm getting for you, Pal 4, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. If this reading resonated in any way, please do let me know. I love hearing your stories, and you can never ever overshare too much with me, so please feel free to do that in the comments. And if you're stepping into a big transformation era, I am so excited for you guys. Genuinely, this is giving full metamorphosis, and I can't wait for you to look back a year from now and realize just how far you've come. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel as we move into my 3rd year on YouTube, can you believe it? The best ways to do that are to like, comment, hype, share, and sub, only if you feel called to. It just helps me so much, and it also helps these readings find the people they're meant for, which is always my biggest goal. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for trusting me with your energy, and I hope you are so proud of yourselves for everything you've already survived and for everything you're becoming. With that said, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 4. Bye bye. Hi Pal 5, if you chose the Teddy Bear Tarot and you chose the Hedgehog sticker and you chose Pal 5, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled A Glimpse into Your Future, who you are and what life is like exactly 1 year from now. If you would like a full breakdown of what this reading is going to entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But very briefly, this reading is exactly what the title says. We're looking at future energy, looking at the energy around who you are becoming, what life feels like 1 year from now, and what themes are showing up most significantly 1 year from now if you continue on your current trajectory. Please remember, with predictive readings, none of these messages are ever set in stone. Energies can always shift. Furthermore, you do not have to accept anything as your story if it simply isn't. Take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. With that said, and without any further hesitation, let's have a look at your oracle cards, your tarot cards, and let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 5. I'm just going to move your little hedgehog to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. So starting over here on the left from the Wild Muse Oracle, we've got there is always a way, and that is clarified by the Empress. From the Green Witch Oracle, we've got number 24, Agreement, Strawberry, and that is clarified by the Five of Swords. From the Witchcraft Oracle, we have got Magic Eggs, beginning something is exciting. And clarifying Magic Eggs is the Seven of Cups. From the Wise Witch Oracle, we have got Enlighten, illumination is near, a period of enlightenment and clarity awaits. Cool, good to know. And clarifying Enlighten, we have got the Eight of Pentacles. From the affirmations of Fairy Cats, we have got Passion, spicy. And clarifying Passion, we have got Polar Lisa, which is the Page of Swords in this deck. From the Moonology Oracle, we've got Confidence is your key to success, New Moon in Leo. Clarifying that, we have got the Eight of Cups. And from the Voices of the Soul Oracle, we have got number 26, Respect. And clarifying Respect, we have got the Ace of Swords. Okay, so before we dive into your cards, Pile 5, I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case these are extra confirmations for you. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. I just like to mention them in case they're significant for somebody. So these could be relevant in terms of a date, an age, a month, a year, a life path, an angel number or synchronicity you're seeing a lot of, an astrological house or the sign associated with that house. So for Pile 5, we have the numbers 23, 24 and 26. Someone here could be born on the 23rd, 24th or 26th of a month. February, March or June birthdays could be relevant. Some of you could be 23, 24 or 26 years old, or one of those ages could have been or is about to be a really meaningful turning point for you. If we look at numerology, 23 reduces to 5, so change, freedom and experimentation. 24 reduces to 6, harmony, relationships and stability. 26 reduces to 8, power, self-respect, confidence, abundance. I just want to emphasize confidence with that new moon in Leo. So there is a very, very clear progression here from change to balance to empowerment. Astrologically, Leo or Venus ruled energy or 8th house or 5th house themes could be relevant for you guys. Confidence, creativity, self-worth, intimacy, passion, and this idea of choosing yourself, that's coming through really strongly. And as always, if a number here jumps out to you that I didn't mention, if one of these numbers applies in a different way, that is absolutely fine. You can take it as confirmation. Obviously, I can't mention every single way the numbers apply here and every single confirmation I'm getting, but yeah. I want to talk about the hedgehog confirmations that I'm getting actually because this is such a specific little creature for you to pick. A very cute little creature as well. That could be you, Pile 5. Maybe you're a cute, lovable little creature, but you have spikes as well. But yeah, the symbolism here is honestly kind of perfect for this pile. Hedgehogs are nocturnal, they're solitary, they have bad eyesight apparently, that could be you, but they have excellent hearing and smell. And they're very determined, and when they're threatened, they don't fight, they curl into a little hedgehog ball. They protect themselves, they preserve their energy, and I'm really getting that as a message for this pile. You might have been in like a bit of a hibernation mode recently, or you've had a protective shell up this past year, and it's like 1 year from now, you're coming out of that with way more confidence and a way stronger backbone. And the fact that a group of hedgehogs is called an array, I read an array, I'm obsessed with that because I'm actually seeing an array of blessings around you 1 year from now, Pile 5. There are also some really random specific confirmations. I'm getting something about European, Asian or African ancestry. That could be relevant. Something about gardens is coming through too. Maybe 1 year from now, you have your own cute little garden, or you're growing your own herbs or vegetables, or just you have a garden that look really nice. Some of you could have an allotment 1 year from now, or there's something about you spending more time outside in the garden or doing up the garden. Something really connected to like earthy and grounded routines that is coming through. I'm also getting, back to the hedgehog stuff, a message about babies being born spineless. Baby hedgehogs, I mean, not human babies, but then like hedgehogs grow their protective spines. I'm getting that as symbolic for you. So some of you could feel like you've been soft or been exposed, and then you've developed this kind of hard shell or backbone over time. Also, randomly, someone here is lactose intolerant because apparently hedgehogs are lactose intolerant, or maybe you find out that you are, or you stop using dairy this time next year. That's just a message for someone, not everyone. Don't worry for those of you who are like, oh my god, no, I am not eating cheese 1 year from now. You don't have to. That could just be like for someone very specific. I just say these things, okay, as I'm getting them. I'm also getting something about a keratin treatment. Like if you're doing a keratin treatment in your hair or you're starting that, 1 year from now, you could really see the impact, like the investment in your hair. I know that's oddly specific, but it's coming through. I wanted to say it. Anyway, let's get to the actual cards, because I feel like for a lot of the piles today, I haven't really done like confirmations, but those wanted to come through. There was just so much hedgehog stuff coming through. But yeah, let's talk about the cards. So there is always a way, and the Empress. Straight away, I'm hearing, where there's a will, there's a way. Like 1 year from now, your dedication, Pal 5, and your determination, it's actually unreal in the best way. Like, if there is anything you want to do, anything you want to make happen, you are making it happen. But the way you do it, it's not through brute force. It's through being adaptable and actually finding creative solutions. And I keep coming back to that hedgehog symbolism. I'm sorry to keep going on about hedgehogs. I feel like I've said it about 50 times. But like, hedgehogs, like we said, they don't have the best eyesight. I'm not saying you don't have good eyesight. Maybe some of you don't, maybe some of you wear glasses or whatever. But yeah, we said they have excellent hearing and smell. So they survive by playing to their strengths. And that's what this feels like. You know, you stop trying to, what's the phrase? Like, fit a square peg into a round hole, I think is a phrase. You stop forcing yourself to do things the normal way or the expected way or the way that seems to work for everyone else. And you start playing to your unique gifts. I'm getting that quote, you know, that quote about the judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. I feel like I've mentioned it various times in these readings. That's the thing here, like you stop judging yourself by standards that were never meant for you, and you realize your intelligence and success comes from being uniquely you, like not from copying somebody else's path. And 1 year from now, I'm also getting this deep trust in the idea that there is always a way out. Okay, that's what I'm getting. Like, if you hit an obstacle, you're not spiraling or panicking. You don't try and break the damn door down. You step back and you reassess, you recalibrate, and you're like, there's always a way. Like, I'll figure out a way. And what's really interesting is I feel like by next year, you realize sometimes there's actually an easier way. I think that's the big thing here. Like, you thought something had to be this insurmountable thing that required constant grinding, but actually the solution is way more effortless than you expected. It's like, oh, I could just do this. And instead of, you know, like we said, bashing the door down, forcing things, it's literally like you finding a key under the mat or somebody giving you a key. It's as easy as that. Like, you can chill a bit because the answers arrive when you need them. I'm also hearing the word hospitable, like you become this, I don't mean this in a dehumanizing way, but a receptive vessel. But it's like where, you know, when people talk about the fertile void, it's like where ideas and opportunities can actually bloom and flow inside you. That is something I'm getting. Like, the Empress is productive, but in this grounded way. You guys, you're getting shit done, but you're doing it in a way that kind of flows with your natural rhythms. You respect that you need time to rest, and you respect that sometimes, as well as rest, there's a time where you need to move. It's that like coming out of hibernation energy, but in a way where you also honor the fact that hibernation serves a purpose and it's very much needed. It's not just like a waste of time to hibernate. Growth happens during that time. And for some of you guys, you know, with the Empress, this could be literal. Like, if pregnancy or starting a family is something you want, 1 year from now, that could be on the table. You know, something literally growing inside you. If you don't want that, then obviously that's not for you. That's just a message for those people who see that as part of their future in the near future, in the next year. I always mention it with the Empress because, you know, it can be relevant for somebody, but for most of you, I see this more as a metaphor. So an idea, a project, a dream, a new version of you blooming and really taking shape, and you feel more content and relaxed because you genuinely trust, like, there is always a way. Like, I will find a way to get what I want. Okay, so with agreement and the Five of Swords, before I even get into the deeper meaning here, I have to say, 1 year from now, Pal 5, you are glowing. You could be getting a lot of compliments, okay? On your skin especially. I don't know where I'm getting that. I mean, the Empress already kind of gave me that vibe, but the strawberry makes it even louder here. Like, there's something very lush and ripe about you, and I'm saying that because strawberries being high in vitamin C, it's making me think of beautiful, plump, youthful, glowing, healthy skin. I'm literally seeing this image of someone sprawled out on a picnic blanket and a cottagecore dress with their shades on, hair flowing, looking really healthy, reading their book, eating their strawberries, and looking like a goddess or a god. Like, just living their best life, essentially, and very delectable. Like, next year, 1 year from now, you are a delight to the senses. I'm getting things like strawberry or marshmallow scents, gourmands, fruity fragrances. Maybe this time next year, you are getting a lot of compliments on both your appearance and your smell. Maybe you have found your signature scent next year and people always compliment you on it. I'm also seeing sort of like very glossy plush lips, strawberry lip balm is coming through, or just this like soft moisturized lotioned skin. And there's something about you also like filling out your clothes really well. Like you have found this particular style that complements your body and you just carry yourself beautifully. You smell good, you look good, you're very put together. And I'm not saying that you're not like this now, but 1 year from now, it's like you've grown into it more. Like you found a routine that genuinely supports you from the inside out. So if you haven't found like skincare that suits your skin exactly right now and you're trying to clear your skin up, I see 1 year from now that's happened. You know, so yeah, nutrition, self-care, whatever it is, it's obvious, like it shows on the outside. So these could be things you're starting to implement now. Like you could be working on growing your hair, or yeah, sorting your skin out, or recalibrating your wardrobe and finding things that really agree with you, like from the inside out. But the deeper part here with agreement and the Five of Swords is like 1 year from now, you are not entertaining pointless conflict. You are far removed from environments that just perpetuate shitty little bits of drama and tension and arguments and petty battles. Like you're over it. You're over it this time next year. And I also feel like people are really, really sweet on you next year. Like people are trying very hard not to argue with you next year. And that could be a welcome change for some of you guys. And when I say sweet on you, this could also include people getting crushes on you really, really easily. But even regardless of that, it just feels like people are nicer to you, more accommodating, more agreeable. But I feel like a big part of it is because of the energy that you're in at that time. You are going to be coming across as like unbothered, in your lane, flourishing, diplomatic, soft, calm. It's giving very much like the perfect host, Libra, Taurus, Venusian kind of vibes. You have this effect where you can really calm down and de-escalate a room. And I'm getting this example that like if you're in a difficult situation at work, let's say, it's like you can be the person who speaks to a really angry, riled up person very calmly, and in turn, their voice literally softens when they're talking to you. They get de-escalated, they back down, the tension eases, you have that effect on the room. Or, for example, if you're a parent and your kids have been at this really difficult age where they're always fighting with each other, or they're always like throwing tantrums or saying no, it's like 1 year from now the conflict reduces. You know, they respond better to your boundaries, bedtime routines become less of a battle, things just go smoother. It's easier to get people to do what you need without you having to like fight for it or raise your voice. And there's something about you guys adhering to more natural routines too. Like, so maybe as one example, wearing less makeup, but you actually look better and more glowing for it. So for example, you could buy a skin tint instead of a full foundation, or you could wear no makeup at all, and you can see how bright and glowy your skin is. I feel like you guys this time next year, you're really actually appreciating how you look. You feel very comfortable in your own skin. You found a style that really suits you, I think is important. It just agrees with you. It flows on your body and it's giving like grown woman or grown man energy. Not in a gendered way, it's just this vibe of being like settled into yourself. And yeah, I don't want it to be gendered, but obviously I'm a woman, so I give examples for women based on my experience as a woman sometimes. So if you're a man, just ignore this, I guess. You might be able to relate to it too, I don't know. But this is making me think about something I've talked about on this channel before, actually, and it's that whole like fear-mongering narrative around specifically women entering their 30s or 40s or older. You know, that idea that people push where it's like, oh my god, once you hit that age, it's all downhill, life's over, you won't have fun anymore, and you will just be longing and yearning for how you looked or how you lived in your 20s. And honestly, as a woman in my 30s, that has just not been my experience at all. Life didn't get worse, it got a lot better for me personally. You could not pay me to feel how I felt in my like teenage years or early 20s. When people tell you like that's the best it's gonna get, I don't even want to look how I did then, but I definitely don't want to feel how I did then either. And I'm saying I don't want to look how I did then because it's not that there was anything wrong with how I looked, but I have always been curvy, and I mean that regardless of weight. Like since I hit puberty, sorry for TMI, but I've always had like bigger hips and bigger thighs and a bigger bum compared to my waist. And if you can relate to that, like if you're a woman, it could be like bigger boobs for you or something like that. When you're young and your body is changing, that can be really uncomfortable and can provoke some insecurities, especially when, like, for example, you're wearing the same cute top as your friend who has a B cup, but you've got a D cup, and suddenly the reactions are completely different. You're made to feel like you're doing something wrong or inappropriate just for being you. Or, you know, jeans fit everyone else absolutely fine, but they're always too big on you at the waist and too tight everywhere else. I have that struggle. So you're constantly adjusting or constantly feeling uncomfortable or feeling like something is wrong. And back then as well, I'm saying back then like it was absolutely years ago. I mean, it was years ago, but like it wasn't decades ago. But back then we didn't have the same access as we do now to fashion. We weren't really shopping online the way that we do today with that frequency. Like if you wanted an outfit, you would go into town with your friends on a Saturday, and if you needed a dress, you'd just buy what was on the shelves, which was whatever was trending at the time. There wasn't that same ability to like curate or to explore or to figure out what actually worked for your body and your energy. So a lot of us, we just kind of went along with it, and a lot of the time it didn't feel great, but we'd assume like our bodies were the problem because nothing ever felt like it fit. And you know what I've learned and what I'm seeing for you 1 year from now, it doesn't have to be this example exactly, but it's that kind of feeling of like my body was never the problem. You just hadn't found what worked for you yet. And by this time next year, it feels like you've got really comfortable with your go-to style. You might still experiment, you might still have fun with that style, but there's this deep sense of like, yeah, this is me. Like I've curated my essence and made this aesthetic, and it's just like, you know what suits you, you know what feels good, you know how to dress and move and exist in a way that feels very aligned. You've got your own personal brand, and that confidence, that ease, that's what people really notice. But yeah, with that Five of Swords specifically, it feels like you're really protecting your peace. If you guys used to ever feel like, I have to win the argument, like I have to get the last word in, 1 year from now, I feel you guys saying, I genuinely don't care. Like, let them feel like they've won. Essentially, you are winning by being you and not them. It's something I'm getting. I'm also seeing less time online where things feel very divided. Some of you could be having like a dopamine detox or an online detox, digital detox, whatever it's called. But I'm seeing you guys like not getting involved in negativity. Like if you're used to scrolling in comment sections, looking at people being really divided and arguing with each other, you're not doing that as much. You feel very much in your own lane. I'm also getting something about the book, The Four Agreements. So something about being impeccable with your word, not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and just doing your best. You're just out here doing your best. And the point is, you're just showing up with integrity in a way that makes you feel proud, and you're maintaining a level head, and you're looking good whilst doing it as well. Part 5. Okay, so with the magic egg and with the Seven of Cups, this is such an exciting energy because this time next year, it's like something new is incubating. This is creation energy again, the miracle of life, but it could be more in a metaphorical sense, bringing life to your passions in a tangible way. Again, you know, that pregnancy, childbirth, Empress energy could be there for just a couple of you, but it doesn't have to be that. But 1 year from now, you're starting something really exciting, or you're entering a brand new phase of something you've already been building. And what I love about the Seven of Cups here is that you guys have got options. Like, you really have options. You have your pick. There are multiple possibilities around you, but it seems like there's going to be one particular thing that stands out as the real deal. And you acknowledge, like, this one, this is where the magic lies. So it's brimming with possibility, and it just really feels like the start of something that could lead to so much more. And what's important is it doesn't seem like a far-off fantasy. This is real. You can hold it in your hands, and it has substance. And I'm getting examples of, like, you know, if this is a job, you could have multiple job offers, and some of them sound almost too good to be true. You know, shiny promises with nothing actually tangible. But there's one that stands out where you read the fine print, and you're like, hold on, this is legit. If it's a collaboration offer, you could be getting loads of emails and some of them feel like scammy or false promises. But there's one offer that comes from a legit account, maybe even someone with a bigger platform. And you're like, wait, this could be magic. They actually want to invest in me. Like, we could team up. This feels like the magic egg. Or, you know, if it's romantic, you could have dating opportunities left and right. You know, again, a lot of people are going to be sweet on you. A lot of people are probably going to be crushing on you at this point next year, Part 5. But whereas some people are kind of like selling you a fantasy, you know, promising you the world with no follow through, and your intuition is like, oh, they're just trying to smash. Well, let's be honest. There's this one option that proves itself very differently. So it could be that one person who is like genuine and solid and who actually has potential. So 1 year from now, you are choosing what's real. You're not overwhelmed by options. You're not seduced by the illusion. You are very discerning, and you're actually listening to your intuition, and you're selecting something that can actually become very meaningful and worthwhile. So with Passion and Polar Lisa, the Page of Swords, this energy is so fun because 1 year from now, you are obsessed. I'm getting obsessed, but in the best way. You guys, you're going to be deeply attuned to a passion and you are following it with your whole heart. It very much feels like you are in a summer energy. So, you know, ideas are flowing hot and fast. There's this restlessness, but it's very impassioned. Like, your ideas are coming so rapidly that you can't even write them down fast enough. And it's like one idea leads to another. If you've ever struggled with something like, as just one example, writer's block, you know, that kind of winter stage of not being able to come up with the harvest lifts, and suddenly you're in the mode of like, oh my God, I'll do this, and then I'll do this. And this becomes something you eat, sleep, and breathe. It's like your baby. It's a reason to get up in the morning. You know, you go to sleep thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it, you're always planning for it. And there's a big like learning and curiosity element to this too. I'm getting that you're gobbling up information like it's water and you're in the desert. You're like thirsty for knowledge. You want to know everything there is to know. So some of you guys could be going back to school, you know, returning as an older student. You could be taking courses, doing college classes, or it could be something self-taught, you know, deep dives online, researching everything about a particular thing, fully throwing yourself into it. And there's something about newness here, and I'm not saying that this has to be a brand new passion if there's something you're already passionate about, but there's newness in either the passion itself, or if it's not that, it's the way you're approaching it. So for some of you, it could be more like an old passion being resurrected, and it's not because you didn't already know what you were doing, but because there's like a new layer to it now. So you may have already mastered the craft itself, but maybe you're learning the business side or the technical side or the marketing side, the online side. There's this new part, and that's where the growth is happening. And I'll use myself as an example here because this is the best way that I can describe the energy. So I think I've mentioned before, but I've been doing tarot since I was literally a child. I got my first tarot deck when I was around 8 years old, maybe. So the practice itself wasn't new to me, but when I started this channel only 2 years ago, something completely reignited. Like suddenly there were online resources, there were other readers to learn from, you know, different interpretations to explore, different ways of storytelling. And on top of that, I also had to learn like video making and editing and filming, things that I'd never done before. And it wasn't perfect, especially at the start, but I really threw myself into it anyway because I genuinely loved it and I still love it. And that's exactly the vibe I'm getting for you, pal fireboy. The passion is so real that it carries you through this new learning curve. You know, you're not doing this because you feel like you have to, you're doing it because you want to, because it lights you up inside. Because even when it's messy or it's imperfect, you're excited enough to keep going. And that's why this turns into mastery over time. And not because everything is like immediately flawless straight away, but because you care enough to stick with it. And there is this message coming through that if you guys like, if your passion is something you kind of do on the side, just for fun, and you have a day job, 1 year from now you might find that you are like distracted at work a little bit because you're always planning ideas for this thing when you're supposed to be doing your job. That's just for somebody, it doesn't have to be for everyone. And just going back to that magic egg energy briefly, I am getting this gentle encouragement of like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I don't mean that in a discouraging way. More like, you know, if you're somebody who has a tendency to hyperfixate and within that you forget to look after yourself, so you're so focused on what you're doing that you forget to eat or drink water or sleep or just take care of yourself, don't do that. Like, you need to treat yourself like you matter. So stay in Empress mode so this can be sustainable, like give to yourself. And I'm also thinking of passion from a potential romantic angle too. So for some of you, 1 year from now, there's a very passionate relationship that you're in. I'm getting like can't keep your hands off each other vibes, head over heels, lots of PDA, even if that's not usually your vibe, can't stay out of the bedroom, that kind of thing. If you're single right now, this could be a new connection. If you're already in a relationship, this could be a rekindling. So more date nights, more intimacy, more fun, more excitement, spicing things up. This could also indicate that you are a catalyst to people during this time, like you spark something awake in other people. You make people feel alive again and inspire them just by being around them is something I'm getting. And with Enlighten and the 8 of Pentacles, this really feels like the next phase of what we were talking about with the Passion and the Page of Swords energy. So if earlier we were seeing that curiosity and that excitement and that obsession, you know, learning everything you can, this is where it becomes embodied. This is where the ideas stop living purely in your head and start turning into something really tangible. And enlightenment here, it doesn't come from a sudden epiphany. it comes from repetition, it comes from the process, from practice, from actually doing the thing over and over and over again until one day you realize, oh, I've really leveled up, like look at how far I've come. 1 year from now, you're deeply focused on mastering something you genuinely care about. You're no longer just exploring it, you're refining it, you're honing it, you're getting better at it in a way that's really noticeable both to you and other people. And what stands out here is consistency. You're showing up regularly, you're building skills through real world application and not just theory. So if earlier this showed up as like obsessively researching or watching or reading or asking questions or feeling like mentally obsessed with something and planning, this is where you're applying that knowledge in a practical way. You're seeing what works, you're seeing what doesn't, and you're adjusting accordingly. And that's where the enlightenment comes from. This could absolutely still involve formal learning for some of you, you know, courses, training, certifications, but it feels less like starting and more like deepening that knowledge. Like you already know this is your thing and now you're committing to doing it properly. Others of you are completely self-taught, like you're learning through experience and repetition and trial and error, and that's just as valid. Unless you're like learning to be a doctor or something, then I feel like you should probably go to school and not just like practice on people, but you know what I mean. There's also a strong message of recognition. Enlightened with the Eight of Pentacles, it kind of has that quiet spotlight energy. People are going to be noticing a year from now the quality in what you do. They can see the effort, the care, the skill, the perfection that you have with your craft. You might be trusted with more responsibility at that time. You know, you might be selected for something or used as an example. Like, you know, this person knows what they're doing, and that's not just because of luck, that's because you put the work in. This is also where your sense of value really sharpens. Like 1 year from now, you are much clearer about what your time, energy, and skills are worth. You might actually realize that you've been undercharging for something, you've been underselling or minimizing yourself. And instead of feeling awkward about changing your prices, let's say, it just feels obvious, like, no, this is the level I'm operating at now and my prices need to reflect that. There is some element of pride here, but it's grounded and it's very much earned. It's all the hard work you've done. And this isn't burnout energy, you know, you're not grinding yourself into the ground. You have learned that consistency beats intensity and that quality matters more than quantity. You know when to focus and when to rest, and that balance is part of the mastery here. So 1 year from now, you're not questioning whether you're capable anymore because you know that you are, because you've seen the proof, you've built it. You built it slowly, but you built it deliberately. And that kind of confidence is unshakable. You've been doing this too long and too consistently to still think that you're an amateur. With the new moon in Leo, confidence is key, and with the Eight of Cups, yeah, this feels like the emotional consequence of everything we've already talked about today, Pal 5. After mastering something, and after learning and honouring your pace and choosing what actually aligns, this feels like the moment where you walk away from what no longer matches your worth. And it's not out of resentment, but it's out of self-respect. 1 year from now, you are not forcing yourself to stay in spaces that drain you, underappreciate you, or that require you to dim yourself just so you can belong. And what's important here is that this isn't impulsive. It's not like super dramatic. It's confident, it's calm, it's very intentional. You don't leave rooms in a huff like, oh, you're not appreciating me, I'm gonna go and sulk in the corner like a dramatic Leo. I'm only joking, Leos. I love Leos so much. But yeah, you leave because you know. Like, I'm worth more than this. You know what? No, I'm gonna go where I'm valued. So this could look like walking away from a job where you're consistently overlooked, even though you are clearly the most skilled in the room. Or it could be finally closing a door on a friendship dynamic where you're always the one giving and planning and remembering and accommodating, because you realize that love shouldn't feel like labor. For some of you, this is choosing to exit environments where you are tolerated instead of celebrated. You deserve to be celebrated. And with the new moon in Leo, this decision is rooted in that deep self-belief. It's you saying, you know, I trust that something better exists for me and I trust myself enough to wait for it. You're no longer clinging to situations out of fear that there is nothing else or nothing better. You've outgrown that scarcity mindset. There's also something really beautiful here about being seen. 1 year from now, you're naturally gravitating towards people and spaces and opportunities where you don't have to explain why you matter, is something I'm getting. Like, it's just obvious. It speaks for itself. The dedication, the determination, the skill, the talent, and you're met with warmth, you're met with generosity and enthusiasm. You feel wanted, you feel prioritized, you feel chosen. And if you've ever been somebody who has a tendency to overgive, like emotionally or energetically or creatively, And then in turn, you kind of get to that phase where you feel quietly resentful when that effort isn't reciprocated. This is where that pattern ends. And it's not because you have hardened, but it's because you've learned discernment. Like, you're still generous, you're still warm and loving, but you're just no longer pouring into empty cups. And I want to give a really tangible example of what this can look like, because this feels very real for a lot of you. Well, this can be especially relevant if you're the kind of person who, as just one random example, you always make a huge fuss over other people. Like, you're the one who remembers birthdays and you go all out, you plan things, you buy thoughtful gifts, and you go out of your way to make other people feel special and celebrated. And then when it's your turn, the day just kind of passes. Maybe people forget, maybe it's very low effort, maybe you're left feeling quietly disappointed, even though you would never say anything because you don't want to seem ungrateful or needy. And over time, that creates resentment. And it's not because you expect people to be perfect and remember everything all the time, but it's because you're giving from the heart and it's not being met with the same energy. But 1 year from now, instead of continuing to pour into those spaces and hoping that they'll change, you naturally just start aligning with people and with environments where that warmth and that effort is just reciprocated without you having to ask for it. You are still generous, you're still thoughtful, but you're not overgiving to people and places who can't meet you where you're at. You are choosing spaces where appreciation and warmth and recognition are just freely given. And because of that, everything feels lighter and it feels more fulfilling. This also just feels generally like having more joy and more play and more creativity in your life. You are having fun again this time next year. You're laughing a lot more. You're not taking life or yourself quite as seriously in this really heavy way. Confidence becomes lighter and less performative, and that confidence makes it easier to walk away from anything that doesn't feel like love. And with respect and with the Ace of Swords, 1 year from now, Pal 5, you are incredibly clear. You're clear about who you are and what you stand for and what you will no longer accept. There is no confusion here, no mental fog, no second guessing. The Ace of Swords cuts through all of that noise. Your thoughts are very sharp, your communication is clean, and your boundaries are unmistakable here. You speak with honesty and precision, but not cruelty. You're not trying to dominate conversations or prove a point. You are simply very much rooted in truth. And because of that, people listen. They take you seriously. There's a respect you command without demanding it. And this could show up very tangibly. You might finally say that thing you've been dancing around at work, in a relationship, with family. And instead of chaos, there is clarity. Things move forward. Things end cleanly if they can't move forward. Either way, you're no longer carrying the mental load of these unsaid truths. There's also something here that's coming through strongly about integrity. Like, you are not selling yourself short. You're not watering down your ideas. You're not pretending to be someone. You are not just to be palatable. And that authenticity becomes really magnetic. People trust that because you are real. There is no fake polish here. It's all substance. You may notice, again, that you're much better at pricing your time. You are asking yourself, honestly, what is this service that I'm doing worth? And you get honest instead of selling yourself short. But it's not just pricing things like that. It's pricing your time, energy, and effort generally. You know, whether it's literally charging more, asking for what you're worth, or energetically, like no longer over-explaining or over-justifying or overextending yourself. You know what you bring to the table now, and you carry yourself accordingly. This also feels like mental downloads, insights, clarity arriving quickly. You're very decisive this time next year, Pal 5, very focused. You can see through nonsense immediately, and instead of getting tangled up in it, you just step around it. There's a lot less mental noise. Ultimately, this is you respecting yourself so fully that it changes how others treat you without you needing to teach them how. Your words just land because they're aligned and your presence feels solid and your life reflects that really, really clearly. So that's what I'm getting for you, Pal 5, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for choosing this pile. I really hope something in this reading resonated and gave you a little bit of clarity, reassurance, or even just a sense of comfort about where you're headed next. 1 year from now feels very intentional for you guys, more self-respecting, more aligned, and it feels really, really beautiful. As always, the best way to support the channel are to like, comment, hype, share, and sub if you feel called to do so. It genuinely helps me more than you could ever know, and it helps these readings reach the people they're meant for. So if you felt connected to this message, that is the easiest way to send that energy back. Thank you again for being here. Thank you so much for listening and for trusting me with your energy. I'm wishing you so much confidence, clarity, and self-respect as you move forward, and I hope this next year brings you everything that truly aligns with you. I love you, take care, and I'll see you in the next reading, Pal 5. Bye!